Boobies!
Hi,
Hello.
and welcome to Boobies.
And welcome. Yes, to Boobies. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin,
And I'm Joshua.
and we are here to talk to you, talk into your ears for this spooky season and all the seasons about
365.
spookies.
Yeah, about your favorite horror movies or your not so favorites.
Put that on a t-shirt.
I like it. Quotes
That was the worst.
with the with little dots, little ellipses.
Ellipses in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the most poorly strung together sentence on the face of the planet.
Queen of run-on sentences.
Yes.
Yes,
I
we love a good
am.
run-on. Just they go on and on and on.
Like, who is it? Steinbeck?
And
I'm
on.
pretty sure some of his sentences are like half a page long.
Yeah. Well, there's a way to do it.
There is. And I mean, it's entirely grammatically correct.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not him, it's who wrote the Scarlet Letter?
I don't know.
Is that-
I don't read.
Steinbeck was Grapes of
I'm like
Wrath.
Leah Michelle. I can't read.
And Tolkien also has some like paragraph long sentences.
Oh my God, Tolkien! I am immersed in the land and the
Oh, are you watching
lore
it
of
right now?
Tolkien. Well, there's that, but also just like ever so often, I find myself like diving into
Nathaniel
the lore
Hawthorne.
and mythology that he has come up with, and it's literally like a whole freaking. Literally, his world building is next level.
Wait,
But,
who
um,
wrote Grapes of Wrath?
I don't know. Ben Franklin.
Yes.
Wait, Thomas. No,
Edison, John Steinbeck.
no.
Is that who I said?
Yes, you said
Okay.
Steinbeck. Yes.
Yeah. And then
Mhm.
Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote the Scarlet Letter.
Mm.
Okay. It's been like 10 years since I've had to do AP English, y'all. So let's move along.
I didn't read anything when they asked me to read stuff. I
Oh.
did Cliff Notes, Spark Notes, even going back all the way to like 8th grade. Like I remember I had this one teacher that everybody was like, "That's the teacher who makes you read like 10 books throughout the entire year." I Cliff Notes it all.
Damn, that's sad.
Yeah, I know. I'm just not
Reading's
one that's
not for
really
everyone.
fond of reading.
Yeah. I enjoyed most of the time whenever I started reading those books, I was like, okay, wait, this is actually where I'm going. And I'd get into it and I'm like, I kind of see why this is a classic. Okay, fine.
Yeah. I mean, I kid you not, the only book I think I've ever read front to back is The Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Just one.
No, yeah, I think
Is that even the first one?
no, that's the second one.
So
That's the second
you just
one.
read it willy-nilly?
Wait, no, I mean, I think I've read all of them, but Catching Fire is the only one that I'm pretty that like stuck with me. I remember most of it. I think the other ones that like read a paragraph but not really read it, and so it doesn't really stick there, but I just keep reading anyways. Yeah.
Damn, those are good books.
Yeah.
They made me cry.
And
This is a good movie.
this is a good movie.
I personally really like it.
I liked it a lot better than last week's. I'll
Good.
tell you that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a very fun movie. And of course, I just, as we know, I'm a big fan of the found footage subgenre, like
Mhm.
of horror.
You love it.
I do.
That's your shit.
I love it. I feel like I'm in it, and it just
Mhm.
makes me feel like I'm
It's
along for a
immersive.
good ride. I
Mhm.
love it. And this one is no exception. I think this is probably up there on my list of found footage movies.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a very not misunderstood, or just maybe underappreciated.
I think you definitely this is the type of movie where like you have to know what you're getting. If that's what if that makes sense. If you're
kind of like
expecting something
Scream.
else, you're gonna get let down.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And like if you're going into it with a satirical kind of standpoint, and the fact that they are very much kind of making fun of / poking at how, by the way, you guys, if you haven't read the episode title, we're talking about Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters.
2011 Canadian
Mm-hmm.
found footage film. That there, it's basically we're following the cast of this ghost hunting show,
Mm-hmm.
which very closely resembles fucking Andrew and I were. Well, we had watched The House of October Built, and then I showed him the trailer for this one,
Yeah.
and he was like, "What? That looks like Ghost Hunters," and I was like, "Do not disrespect my Taps crew."
Yeah.
name. Like this is like Ghost Adventures with Zach Bagans. And I'm like, while he's fun and stuff, I really don't like how he just berates the ghosts and is so fucking mean to them.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, come and get me, ghost, come fucking get me.
Yeah.
And his goddamn Affliction shirt. And like,
I don't watch those
some-
shows, so I'm not sure. But
now, would I still 1000% like line up and pay money to meet him in person? Yes. Would I also pay money to go to his haunted museum in Las Vegas? Yes.
oh, I didn't know he had
He does, and I have wanted to go many a times. It's got
like a haunted house, basically.
it just collects.
haunted
It is
artifacts.
a haunted house
Oh, okay.
that houses a bunch of haunted artifacts.
Mhm.
So he's got the Dybbuk box in it, which is a really cool story, or I guess it's terrifying, whatever.
Mhm.
But a story about this like old box that I mean, it kind of got passed around on like eBay and stuff, and it was basically every time that it's in someone's home, it just brings like mass misfortune
okay.
to them, like people dying and stuff
Mhm.
like that. He's also got Peggy the doll, who is said to like cause like heart attacks and like heart palpitations, even just through looking at her through a screen.
Oh,
You have to
seriously?
sign waivers, I think, to go into both of those rooms.
It's giving like last week, the McCamey Manor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's also got the lobotomy van, I'm pretty sure. The guy who
Drove around giving people lobotomies.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
So that kind of ties into this
yeah.
actual
This story.
This
of Grave
movie,
Encounters.
yeah.
Mhm.
and what was the guy's name? Arthur Friedkin?
Friedkin. I remember the Friedkin most definitely.
Friedkin.
Friedkin. Yeah. Arthur was his first name, last name Friedkin. And he would give people lobotomies.
He's the main antagonist of the Grave
Mhm.
Encounters duology, serving as the main blah blah blah. Okay, so I couldn't remember if he was like an actual. Well, I mean, I'm
Character,
pretty sure he's
entity?
based
What do you
off
mean?
of like the actual guy
Oh,
who like
mhm.
did it. Because there
Well-
was a guy who was really good at the lobotomies and drove around, and so he's got that van. I'm pretty sure. He's got a
even
bunch of cool
so, I
stuff.
think it was definitely leaning on the like haunted asylum and like that area. And back in that time, when asylums were like more prevalent and like they had very negligent upkeep,
Yeah.
they were doing shock therapy and lobotomies and all kinds of experiments.
All these,
Mhm.
things that were
What they thought were
super-
supposed to help people, which they didn't.
Yeah, Walter Jackson Freeman the second, I
Is
believe,
the real guy?
is yes, the father of the lobotomy. And so, anyways, he's got that. He's got a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the way, have I also seen like every single Ghost Adventures? Yes. So I'm sitting here like trash talking it, but
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I like eat it
Mhm.
up.
Mm-hmm.
But I do really respect the Ghost Hunters team. Like when everyone was making those memes of like, this thing walked so this person could run. I wanted to make like a
Yeah.
TikTok that was like, Ghost Hunters walked so Ghost Adventures could run,
Mm-hmm.
basically, because
That one came first.
yeah. And
Gotcha.
it was one of my favorites because they come in with a like heavy dose of skepticism
Mm-hmm.
and they really try to debunk things when they happen and like
It's like
try to
Mythbusters.
yeah, and really explain what could be causing that.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I guess to some people that could feel like they're taking those people down a notch. But I love that it's not, now there are some dramatic moments in there, not to say that there isn't,
Yeah.
but I feel like they just do a better job of handling things in a more mature manner and not everything so like, oh my God.
Sensationalized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is with Ghost
so
Adventures.
salacious.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, I still do love Ghost Adventures, but this was heavily modeled after Ghost Adventures. Like, even the way that Lance talks
Mhm.
is very, very similar to how Zach Bagans
Yeah.
talks. And the whole intro that they have put together is like, could be like very, if not identical to the.
It's very
Ghost-
much borderlining parody. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were definitely acting over the top. And as we get into it too, we see the like obvious skepticism from every single person there.
Yeah.
All of them are like, we haven't seen shit.
Well, especially because they're like actually like portraying like they're acting in a sense,
Mhm.
because they have like Houston who comes on who's supposed to be playing like this paranormal guy who
Yeah.
like, sees things and
That
he
is
comes
the
on
thing that
heavy
I,
at first and then
He
you realize
does.
it's just a shtick that he's putting on.
because every single medium that comes in these shows is always, because then there's been a few spinoffs where I've seen and people come in and they just, the way that they're talking and stuff, it's just so vague,
Uh-huh.
and then it just feels like, okay, you're just like blowing smoke out of your ass.
You become skeptical because
Yeah.
it just sounds
Because it sounds too hokey.
Too hokey pokey.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's just too over the top. And then like the people who are more subtle about it, I like, and like, okay, so this obviously isn't a real life portrayal, but like Lorraine Warren in the Conjuring series, the way she's portrayed in that, she's never coming in being like, I feel such a dark presence here, so many voices at once. Most of the time she's like, she just kind of clams up and she's like staring behind you.
Yeah.
And she's like,
someone who's actually dealing with the effects of like having the burden of having this gift, because it's not like spirit, ghost, soul. It's like you're seeing like dark, seedy.
And every, like, not that I know a lot of mediums, but I know that at least on like Two Girls, One Ghost and stuff on their campfire stories, there's like a lot of mediums on there, and most of them who have told stories, basically, like there's one guy who, he almost seems like very reserved. Like obviously he's open to doing readings for people, but he's never like going out of his way to be super like, this is this, like kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like most of the time people who are actually have those gifts and stuff are a little bit more reserved about it.
Well, I think it goes with anything, like people, like if you have a talent or something, like the people who are actually talented are usually the people who are more humble, as opposed to the people who are all like, look at me, I'm the best at this and that.
Yeah.
You're probably not. You're probably shit.
Yeah, it's like always the people who
always the
you
quiet
catch like
ones.
singing or something, or like they're like, okay, you can like kind of carry a tune, but then like the one who never sings, like all of a sudden comes out and it's like
They can belt.
fucking Mariah Carey, yeah.
Mariah Scary.
Mariah Scary.
And so we basically have this movie. We get a little opening scene of Jerry Hartfeld, who's a producer, who's talking about this footage that was recorded by Lance and his team for a show. It was over, I think it was like 70 hours of footage or something like that they recovered.
Yeah, they said a shit ton.
Yeah, just shit ton of footage that they recovered. And then it basically just cuts to us getting into Lance.
Yeah, because he's basically
he's setting up the stage.
And it gives a great reason as to, like, because we talked about this before with found footage, a lot of the times, like some of the reasons they're recording doesn't make sense. And it's like, why
is there a camera being held here?
Yeah. So there always has to be,
other than to make it found footage.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Cloverfield did a good job of having that person record things, and then all of a sudden, like,
and it was there because of a party,
happens.
like a birthday party.
And Blair Witch, like, obviously they were making a docu-series as well. So like making a docu-series makes sense. And so he basically was giving us the reason why and saying, like, you know, he said all the footage you're about to see is like raw and uncut. It's not edited in any way. It's only edited for time's sake.
Yeah.
Because
otherwise it would be
70 hours long.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. No one's got time to sit there.
They gave us the good chunk, the meat.
Yeah. All the scary shit with enough drama to make us cackle.
Yeah. And we get into it. We have it opening as if it's like we were talking about a parody almost of one of those ghost hunter shows.
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures, with Lance Preston showing up as the host. And it's the way that he's talking and like his inflection in his voice. It's very hokey. Like the word we used earlier.
I'm Lance Preston, and this is Grave Encounters.
But it is so very like 03 to 07, like that type of TV.
The way that at that one point, whenever they are all in there and they all like, they're posed and then they say Grave Encounters. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Cringe.
But it's so spot on for like, so obviously.
And that's like, because we're getting like the behind the scenes as well of how all this is happening for their show. So I'm just imagining the actual shows that were really like this. You know what I mean?
They are.
Yeah.
They're spot on.
And so they must have had someone who like worked in these shows before be like on set, be like, oh yeah, that's what we did.
Exactly what we did. Yeah. Or just someone who like religiously watches them.
And so I at this point, I'm like, oh, is this like a satire? Like, what is this? Because it's like so heavy on the.
So kitschy. Yeah, because
it's hitting all of those like what would you call them? Stereotypes of like what these shows would be.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like Jersey Shore and shit. It's like trash, but
trash TV.
You love it.
The guilty pleasure.
Yeah. And any sort of reality, like Andrew and I are watching Singles Inferno right now. It's like
what's that?
It's a Korean dating show where they're like trapped on an island. I'm obsessed. So much drama. Love it. But like it's like that, like where it gets you like hooked in, and you just have to keep watching it.
I mean, that's just TV in general.
Yeah.
I mean, should we really even be watching TV? Hell no, probably not.
But
the amount of like things society could be doing,
yeah,
if we didn't spend so much time watching TV.
Oh yeah, we'd have cured the whole world by now. We'd be living on Mars. I don't know.
But we gonna watch it. And so then we also get that this is we're going into episode 6.
Yeah, they had shot the pilot and they were doing great, seemed cool until they got to episode 6. And then so they pull up at the Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital. And it's, I believe we're based in Maryland because it says it housed about at least 80,000, of Maryland's mentally ill. And so now this does mention the word Danvers, which the Danvers Asylum is a real place. So it says built in 1893 to help with overfill from Danvers. And maybe it just meant like, maybe that's just a county name, but I wonder where I'm pretty sure Danvers is Danvers State Hospital. Yeah.
Is it in Maryland or close to?
Massachusetts.
Well, I mean, that's
built in 1871.
It's close-ish, right?
Yeah. I don't actually know geography at all.
Well,
the
Massachusetts
Danvers is cool
and
though.
Maryland, I think there's a couple states in between there, but it's like the skinny part of New York and then like the other part of Connecticut. I don't know, something like that.
I'm pretty sure the Danvers like State Hospital is very. I mean, it's an.
All my geographers out there, please fact check us. But
yeah, look, I can pull it up on Google Maps.
Also,
where's Maryland? Right. Even in all. Okay, yeah, No, that's. Where the fuck is? I don't know.
The Northeast.
They don't teach us geography in American schools.
Hardly anything.
I've got Rhode Island here.
And so, it basically has that's just people who they have on record. Who knows to say how many people they didn't even have on record? Because, asylums back in the day were either overcrowded or didn't have the staff or just had shady shit going on.
Yeah, always just very abysmal conditions that were built with like good intentions in mind. Like so many of them were like built to have like open windows and
or
stuff.
Usually built by churches or like stuff like that.
Yeah, and they were only ever really originally intended to house like maybe 120 to like 600 people. And then when you start adding in just like massive amounts of people, it's like a chicken farm or something where they're just like
it's a coop. Everybody's just shitting on themselves.
Yeah, and
everywhere.
then someone dies and they just keep tromping over the bodies.
Yeah,
like in some asylums that really was a thing. Like the rooms were so crowded that people would die and like nurses wouldn't notice for days.
Yeah,
and like that's insane.
Bill's still napping. Oh, he's been napping for 3 days.
Yeah, he's
probably dead.
What is that smell?
It's Bill. And it closed in 1963. And so ever since then, it's just basically been haunted and spooked by all of the patients that had died there.
Yeah, and we mentioned Arthur Friedkin earlier too, and he was the experimental brain surgery, aka like he would do lobotomies and stuff. And his ghost was said to have haunted there because at one point 6 patients broke out and killed him.
Yeah. Right? He probably got what he deserved.
Yeah.
It gives very
Nurse Ratched,
Asylum,
oh,
VHS,
yeah,
all those kinds of vibes. And so we are with the gang. And
I liked how Arthur Friedkin's death was overshadowed by the death of Babe Ruth.
Oh, that's right.
They're like, that didn't really make the news because Babe Ruth died the same year.
The big Gambino.
And I was like, oh, funny.
Yeah. Babe Ruth. That just reminds me of The Sandlot. And so we have them now. I forget the janitor's name, whatever, or not janitor, but the groundskeeper.
Kenny Sandoval.
Yeah, is going to lock them into the building.
And of course, on the door, we get a nice little omen. Death awaits.
Yeah.
Written on the door in like spray paint. It's obviously just, what do you call it?
It's the harbinger and death of this movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like graffiti.
Graffiti. That's
Yeah,
the word. I was like,
it's just
what
spray
is
painted
it?
on there, and they even think like, man, that looks cheesy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're like, ooh,
we're gonna
okay.
we're gonna have to like cut that out.
Mm-hmm.
But they end up. Little do they know that
Death
it's so
literally
true
do
for
await.
them. For all of them, unfortunately.
Except for I think technically, if you go into Grave Encounters 2, I believe Lance survives.
How?
Eating rats and drinking water. And I believe he was trapped in there for 9 years.
What the fuck?
I know.
How does he even?
I don't actually think I've ever seen Grave Encounters 2
I'll have to look it up.
because I watched this one.
And
Speaking of which, we watched this on Shudder. Did you watch it on Shudder?
I honestly don't remember.
It's on Shudder.
It's on
It's
Shudder,
also
for sure.
on something else like HBO or Amazon.
I think
or
that's what I
something.
watch it on. I
Yeah.
think I watched it on Amazon.
Oh, Amazon, you have to rent it.
No, then I know I didn't rent it.
It's definitely. I think it's
watched
on
it somewhere.
HBO.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. I watched. I've seen like so many of them now on so many like different platforms that I don't remember which one I saw it on.
Yeah. Also,
I
you're
watched
so
it.
amazing for watching these like way ahead.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, I didn't. It's just helps.
Josh has watched like all of our October films, and I watched this one last night. I will say, okay, so last night I was the Kins got spayed. That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything they're not supposed to, but I'm trying to keep them upstairs. And so I was in my bed, but I had the door open because we like White weren't going to bed yet. And the light was like downstairs, or I had like a lamp on down there. And so the stairwell was just barely lit. And then I was watching this and I had my door wide open. I had to go kind of like close it a little bit so I couldn't see up the stairwell because the kittens kept running up it. And I was like, fuck.
That's scary. Yeah.
Because while watching this, and then like, because of course I was in complete darkness. Like I turned off all my lights and got comfy and watched this.
Yeah.
And I was alone.
That's how I always watch them. Usually I'm alone.
Yeah.
And it's dark. And
it gives you more.
You get a little paranoid.
Yeah. And so I was like, ooh, especially when they went down into the tunnels and stuff. Because then it kind of looked like my stairwell. And I was like,
yeah.
And so I had to kind of open that. And then Yams, she got up onto my dresser and she's not ever like, she'll go sit in front of the TV sometimes and like just sit there. Today she was trying to get all the little like, you know, the specks of dust that were flying.
Yeah, the little ghosties floating in the
little
air.
anomalies and stuff. She was like trying to get all of them, and I was like,
cute.
oh my god, it was cute until I was like,
yeah,
if you break my TV,
she's gonna rip out her stitches again.
I know. Yeah, Suki ripped out her stitches.
Oh, okay.
But I thought it would be Yam. She was the
rowdy
worst one, and she has more tummy fat. They said she was overweight.
Aw.
They said this is an overweight kitten. I'm like, how? I thought you couldn't feed kittens too much.
That's cute though. At least she's a little overweight than
she's got some
underweight.
love.
That's cute.
That's true.
She's a chunky kitty.
And
so they're looking for they're inside and they're looking for the ghost of Friedkin. And after that we have who's Morgan. All I have is Morgan is spooky on here. But
Morgan. I don't know.
I think that's one of the patients or something because they're going back into like more of the backstory of the hospital as they're going through like the corridors and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And the conditions were really bad. Like,
they were
really fucking horrible there. And they're showing the old footage of like how the people were like, I don't know
and
how
it was
to
obviously
describe
very
dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had like the like it felt very almost like a My Chemical Romance video with the like eyes like kind of blacked out, you know, like to make look extra sunken, but it's like clearly makeup. Yeah. Kind of thing.
It's like them finding these people in squalor. Like it was really bad.
And they were like obviously very well.
They look crazy.
They did.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then now even still the way that he was like, you think it's dark now, like wait till it's night. None of the lights work in there.
Yeah.
Like as he's taking him through the hallway, he's just like, none of the lights work inside.
Freaking. I mean, that's one thing for me. A lot of it is just the darkness, because
it's pitch black.
It's not, and then it's not even what even could be in there. It's just like it could be anything if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It could, literally anything.
Yeah.
I will say so I guess Kenny Sandoval is the actual caretaker. Man. The way that first interview that they had, like in the lobby,
when he was just like, "Oh, do I start now or do I do this?
Yeah, do I look at you?" And then he just kept like his eyes kept
Mhm.
flashing back to the camera. He was so awkward in that moment that
Yeah.
I legitimately was like, I think he killed that acting there.
Oh, yeah, he did. He
'Cause
really did.
He seemed, I mean, he also could have just been some rando they found on the street and they were like, yo,
Yeah.
can you do this? And then he was also just like legitimately shocked, but he seemed like so unsure of how to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
No, he
I was
did.
like, what a minor role, but I thought he did a really good job.
It's
there.
funny because at first I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, okay, I got you. And then really quickly we get the introduction.
Yeah.
But
I know, because
yeah.
I was like, at first I was like, is this a ghost already? Because I was like, this is definitely not the same dude who was just talking to them. And I
No.
thought maybe I missed something
Mhm.
while typing my notes, because at first he wasn't saying anything. He was just kind of there while they were looking around the lobby. And I
Yeah.
was like, is he real? Do I see dead people?
He was real. He was real. Too real. And actually, then I don't know though, because like the way he just let them go in there and lock the doors and like fully knowing, I'm sure what would happen.
Because it was the way that also all of the people who worked there. So the first guy, second guy, third guy, the landscaper, obviously.
Oh
didn't-
yeah, he was like, I worked here for like 5 days or something.
yeah,
Like
he's like, I just got hired.
Mhm.
But the first two men were both saying like, I don't know if I really believe in ghosts. And I'm like, bitch, like the second one, the caretaker guy,
yeah,
Kenny, I believe, you know that motherfucker's seen something.
yeah.
And I bet you, like, he probably
Was very
locked
much
them in there
downplaying
and
it.
was like, bloop, threw away the key.
Oh gosh. Or
Kenny's in on it.
I was about
He
to say
manipulated them.
it's gonna be like Scooby Doo, or he comes in later and it's like it was Kenny the whole time.
Mhm.
The old man Jenkins, and
Yep.
they take the mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the vibes it gives. Oh, I said literally. I didn't
Old
even
Man
realize
Jenkins?
it's giving Scooby Doo. It's written in my notes. It's giving Scooby Doo.
I love it.
Because I'm like, the old man is definitely up to no good.
Yeah, he did seem
He
very
was shady, shifty.
shifty.
Mhm.
That's exactly it. But he's taking him throughout the hospital. We
Mhm.
go see that big old beautiful window that just opens on its own. And they're kind of like X markings, like the ghost spot.
Yeah. They're X marking the ghost spots and
The
like
hot
trying
spots.
to the hot spots to where they're gonna put cameras to leave to like surveillance 24/7 kind
Mhm.
of thing.
To put
Or
their like
overnight.
main cameras. Yeah.
Mhm.
I just like how they just like put some tape on the ground though. I
Mhm.
was like, what?
And then they get as far to going to one of the asylum rooms, and it has like writing all over the walls.
Yeah.
From one of the patients who was super cray.
They panned in on one part and it said, demon in the walls, demon in the halls, demon in my mind, demons you will find.
Literally all rhyming. The
Yeah.
AABB.
I'm like, that's some lyric out there for
Honestly.
some metal band.
If someone hasn't taken it, they should take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have them going to the bathrooms, and then we get the story of this girl who killed herself in one of the bathtubs.
Yeah, trigger warning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
she-
slit her wrist, right?
She slit her wrist in the tub. And then the tub is like very clearly still, I don't know if it's rust, but it was covered in a red substance that I can only imagine was blood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, did they just like
They just didn't clean
just
it. Just left that. Well,
drain it?
we're not
Meh.
gonna touch it. They didn't even drain it. They just let it like
Just
go down
evaporate.
over a
And
long
it just
time.
became part of the ceramic.
Who knows?
Probably, honestly.
And then we see someone's they're going back through the halls, and someone sees a shadow. I think it's that girl. What's that
Yeah.
girl's name? She's her fucking shadow.
So I thought it was Sarah at first, but it's Sasha.
Sasha.
But they
because
call
they
her-
call her Sash or something like that.
I think it's technically Sasha
Sasha.
is how they said her name.
That makes sense.
Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha.
Yeah, because they went down to the service tunnels,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we figure out that the service tunnels connect all of the buildings. And just the way
Mhm.
that, because of the setup of this film, the way that it goes through and the people, like right off the bat, because we saw the trailer for the Grave Encounters team, we
Yeah.
got to meet all of our main players,
Yeah.
like our three main people, and then everyone else is like very clearly introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Oh yeah. Other than them.
Yeah, and so it's a
Mhm.
very nice like setup for like getting to know who's in the movie
Mhm.
right off the bat.
Yeah,
And
and,
then-
then there's not too many because we have TC, who's the guy who's the cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
We have Matt, who is another cameraman, just
Yeah,
the
he's
tech
like
guy.
Their tech guy,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then we have Sash, and we have Lance, and then we
Yes.
have Houston, who is their clairvoyant.
Yeah. And he comes in later, and they do a good job of introducing him. And then we're getting such a great layout of the hospital, and like, I mean, he's telling us the hot spots that we get for these later very big moments that happen in the film.
Yeah.
And it all feels very natural because, well, he's setting them up for a paranormal tour. And so we're understanding that, yes, these service tunnels connect all of the buildings together underneath the ground. And like, we kind of get what happened and kind of what to expect. But I don't know, it's a very like just good flow of information.
I get what you mean. Everything
Doesn't
is
feel
set up.
forced.
Yeah. The movie is set up pretty well.
It gives you a nice,
it's well
good
paced.
plot point.
Yeah. And then we have back in back in 93, Gary was going to do some renovations. I guess they're talking to
Gary Crawford. He was a construction guy.
And they are then talking to this one dude about whether or not this is a residual haunting or an intellectual haunting.
Yeah, because he said one of his people got pushed while on a ladder and it fell and really hurt his leg. I don't remember what happened. But
and that was what gave them more of the clarification that this was a intellectual haunting, because it's actual, like, there's malevolence present.
Yeah.
There's an intent to harm people.
Exactly. And they do a great job. So, like, I mean, because, yes, if you've watched ghost shows or listened to paranormal podcasts and stuff, obviously you probably know the difference between a residual and an intelligent. A residual would be like, at the same time, every night this woman passes by my door and she's basically just like, it's like a tape replaying itself. That would be residual. And an intelligent haunting is one like a poltergeist that can
like
interact with you. Yeah, push you over, turn on lights, respond, things like that. That would be more of an intelligent haunting, but one that's just like drifting through on this like perpetual or seemingly like endless
GIF
loop. Yeah, just repeating. And so because of, again, the setup of the show and the movie, it gets to explain all these things to you. And it's cool that like they explain to you all of the EMF readers and how everything works too. It's a very good setup that, again, doesn't feel forced at all, which I just think I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you are watching this and you're appreciating it, yes, you've probably seen some of these ghost shows. But if you're not and you have absolutely no clue, you can still understand everything that's happening.
Yeah, I've seen a ghost show now because I've seen this one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have.
Yeah, it goes through the
Except
same.
for this one goes like, wait.
I've only ever seen like clips of stuff like on YouTube. I've never actually sat and like watched like a actual ghost show.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah.
I would recommend Ghost Hunters. Obviously, Ghost Adventures, I think, is more easily accessible, but I think Ghost Hunters is about to be on some sort of streaming platform. And if so, I'm going to binge it.
Ghost Hunters exclusive.
Yes.
And so we have them interviewing some young people at this point about
they really found the most random people.
Yeah.
I'm like, where did you find these people?
Because I'm like, and also, were these people in here, and why would they have been here? They interviewed this young couple about like.
I'm pretty sure they broke and entered.
Yeah. He also seemed like he was like, oh yeah, I saw something there, and there was something here too, and then it touched her, and then you know what I mean.
And we were like making out or whatever, and I looked down the hallway, and there's this guy, or this, I guess, figure floating with a shaved head in a hospital gown.
It was too descriptive. Like it was too descriptive. You know what I mean?
But
like,
I mean, I guess
lying.
with how some of these full body apparitions were occurring to them, sure, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm also like,
because they're called full spectrum apparitions, right?
Yeah.
Lots
of different, because you can have like shadow people, you can have, but like seeing a full body and like being able to make out like full things like that. It's a little bit more intense. So
and it's the way Lance is egging it up the whole time too. Yeah,
a full body apparition, a full spectrum apparition,
hamming it up.
How cool!
And then after that, we meet the gardener outside, Javier
Ortega.
That's funny because they get to talking to him and they're trying to like interview him and have him say like, oh, I noticed something spooky here, but then he's like, oh, I just started working here, I don't know,
and he's like, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah, literally. And then he like pulls out $20. He's like, shows it to him, and he's like,
make up a story,
make up something now. And then it's funny because he's like, oh yeah, I saw something,
I saw a ghost, right there.
It's hilarious.
I like the way he like wasn't even looking at the camera too. It's like looking right past it, and he's like, so spooky.
Oh my gosh. Javier was the best character.
Yeah, no, he was fucking
Mhm.
hilarious. That was amazing.
And then especially after, and then that's setting up because right after this we get the great Houston Gray coming
Houston Gray.
in. And he's so extra.
Yeah, he fucking is. The moment he walks in, I was just like, I hadn't even seen this before, and I like forgot about his character,
Mhm.
honestly, because he is, spoiler alert, one of the first deaths.
Yeah.
I
he
mean,
is.
he's not,
Yeah.
but yeah.
He's a very memorable character though.
Because he comes in and he's just like way over the top, like obnoxiously just, oh, yes. Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sensing a lot of spirits here. Like,
Very much.
just
And
feels like someone trying to take your money.
yeah,
and-
because they're filming it at the same time for like the
Mhm.
show. And then after we get through like a whole little bout of him doing all this, then you get Lance being like, okay, yeah, that was awesome.
Good.
That was
He's
great.
like, you believed it?
Right.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, I was really hamming that shit up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, damn. It makes it so bad and so sad for all the people who actually
Yeah.
do have that gift. And
Yeah.
then people don't trust him for
It's like
reasons
anything,
like
yeah,
that.
because if he's making a mockery of it, basically,
Yup.
making it into a sham.
And yeah, because the way that he walked in too, and he warned them of a demon, which like,
Mhm.
okay, you're wrong. But then, and whenever he gets into the bathtub and he's like, I'm seeing a young patient, a female,
Mhm.
a girl. She's in the bathtub and there's blood. She slit her wrist. And I was like, boy, you fucking looked this up
Exactly
beforehand.
what had been said to us earlier in the
Yeah, I
film.
was like,
yeah.
you can't just verbatim repeat what the man said earlier. Like,
Yeah, and that's what even it was like earlier with the other dude. It was like there's too many details that it doesn't sound real.
yeah.
You know, and then after that we have Lance talking to TC, and he says, "Do you want to do a time lapse shot outside and get that time lapse shot?" And I like how the transition of the time lapse shot was actually a time lapse shot
Yeah,
in the film. I thought that was pretty cool.
that was.
And then we transition to nighttime.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So it's nighttime now. All the camcorders are going up, in all the different sections because Matt is putting them up, and then we
Yeah.
get a good introduction to.
Oh, I wrote all the sections down.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Where are they?
I'm just going to read them so I can make use of the time I spent writing them.
Mm-hmm.
But so we have 5 main cameras. So we have camera 4, and they're all very random numbers. Like, it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's more cameras, but we really only focus on camera 4, and that's on the second floor in the east hallway. And then in camera 8, that's the third floor, and that's in the patient room, where I believe the one with the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have camera 5, the third floor bathroom.
Okay.
And then we have camera 9, the 4th floor window, that one that opens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have camera 10, and that's the sub-level tunnel.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the main like hot
Creepy.
spots
Yeah.
that we're going to
The way
be
they're
focusing
everywhere?
on. Yeah. All over the whole building. The
Mhm.
third floor definitely has a lot of active
Activity
spots.
going.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then we get a really good introduction to Matt as the tech wizard because he's showing off the EMF meter and the infrared thermometer
Yep.
and the analog recorder for the EVP.
Yeah.
And-
Electronic voice
yeah.
phenomenon.
And then he's also showing us the Geiger counter.
Yeah. Which and aren't Geiger counters for radioactivity?
I thought so because
But-
it's like the one that goes click, 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 click.
Oh, maybe that's the one that I think it can. But I thought that was what the EMF reader was. I'm getting confused. Yeah. I thought the EMF reader is the one that would like
The clickety one?
go up. Well, Geiger counters also click, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm confused.
But I know what you're talking about for the
in my head.
radioactivity.
Yeah.
They
Apparently, I haven't seen
detect-
enough ghost shows.
they detect a lot of ghost entities is what they do, and they start to initiate the lockdown after this. We have
Mhm.
Kenny getting to the front of the building with the chains, and he's gonna lock them in. Which I'm also thinking, like, why would they actually need to lock themselves in? It's a
Yeah.
TV show. Just fucking fake that shit.
Exactly.
Oh, you're faking everything else. You're gonna actually lock yourself in.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
because
but-
like, and they made a point earlier to be like, yeah, you can't get out. Like all the windows are
Mhm.
barred. Everything. Like there's
Yeah.
no out from this building. Like if you're locked in,
Mhm.
you're locked in.
Yeah.
And then even TC brings it up, and he's like, well, what if I need to get something from the fucking van? Like,
Yeah.
why do we need to be locked in? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like, we're over here like, TC, we're on your side.
Literally.
Except for, I'm pretty sure he's a piece of shit,
But it just sucks because it's like
he said the most awful things.
Mm.
He used the F
Oh
word.
yeah, he
That-
did.
Isn't
at
that
one
the
point-
one I definitely said whenever we covered?
Well, yeah, you did. Yeah, he said it too. But
It's me.
We've all said it. I say it, but it's yeah, I don't even remember, but I do at one point he did say that word. And so anyways, we could not get out if we want to,
Yeah,
basically.
we
is
literally
the
cannot
main,
get out of here.
it's very much the hammer on the head. We know now that they are going to be locked in this building for the rest of the movie.
Mhm.
They're at this point hunting for ghosts. We're starting off with the show, starting to get more footage. They do their EVP check, and they're talking to the ghosts. I think Sash, right? She's trying to talk to them, or is
Yeah.
it Jack? Or
Uh,
not Jack. That's the last movie.
It
Lance.
yes. So I believe it is. This is also where we get the unison grave encounters thing from
Mhm.
them. So
Mhm.
cringy. But yes, yeah. The Houston's kind of trying to talk to them, but I feel like really Sasha's the one who like comes in and actually gets a reading or like
Sasha. Mhm.
some sort of response because
Mhm.
at this point I put like, man, these ghosties ain't here to perform for y'all. Like, cause
Yeah.
Lance was giving very like, do something, like knock on this, knock
Yeah.
on this. And it's like, okay, well, these
I
ghosts,
wouldn't want to do anything for
I
you
would be
either.
like, bitch, I ain't gonna knock shit for you.
yeah.
And then I would punch
Don't tell
them.
me what to do.
I'll knock you over.
Mhm.
But yeah, I believe it is Sasha that comes in, and she's the one who she was like, is there anything you want to communicate while she's in the room with the writing all over the walls? And I was like, girl, the
Girl, it's
ghost is
already
gonna be
there.
like, bitch, read the walls. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
You not see my novel?
And I just remember too, she kept asking questions and then would ask something else like super fast. I'm like, bitch, you ain't giving them time to record on the thing.
I know
Yeah.
they need a little bit more time to speak.
To think of, maybe they're shy.
It takes much more energy too to be able to.
Communicate through barriers,
Yeah.
through fucking like realms.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They need some time.
And they start taking spirit photography photos with spirits. I
Mhm.
mean, that was really bad. Photos with spirits. But yeah, they basically start taking photographs because with the flash, they can actually capture maybe spirits that they can't actually see with their naked eye. And so at that point, they move from that room and everything, and they go to the bathtub, to the
Mhm.
bathroom. And that's when we get Lance going into the bathtub.
I was like,
And I was
damn,
like,
he
oh,
bold sitting in
mhm.
that. I would
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, because he's trying to elicit another response, basically.
Mhm.
He's like trying to get their attention, trying to talk to them. And then that's whenever we have, I think, Matt's hearing a noise from somewhere. And he's sitting at the computer that he has like on one of
Yeah.
the levels. And he hears a noise in the room. And at this point, I'm thinking like, oh,
He's like, why
Matt's,
y'all leave me here alone?
I'm thinking like Matt's dead.
yeah. I know,
Um,
because he's so isolated. He's like, why do
Mhm.
I have to be the one? Like, they're all traveling off in a group, and
Yeah.
Matt's just having to sit there
by himself.
in the lobby with like
With-
exposed tunnels behind him.
Yeah, I'm saying because it's like a big room one that he's in, and then he's like he's sitting in a chair with his whole back exposed.
Exposed,
to,
yeah.
like,
Nope.
all this stuff.
I would have been like, we turning this desk around. My
With-
back's gonna be against the wall,
Yeah, in a corner.
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah.
or I'm protected from all sides.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Nope.
And so we have the gang all together, doing whatever they're doing, like through all their shenanigans, and then we have them hearing a noise in the tunnels.
And Houston's like all the while saying like, I feel a negative and dark energy down
Mhm.
in the tunnels, and I was
He's
like,
hamming it up.
I feel like the spirits were like, bitch, you want a dark spirit?
I got one
I'm
for
gonna
you.
show you a dark
Well,
spirit.
then they end up showing him later. Yeah.
They do.
And maybe because he's so like, ooh, he's
Yeah.
the first one to get it.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's the first one that like actually dies
Mm-hmm.
that we see.
Yeah, everyone else.
Like Matt disappears,
Mm-hmm.
but Houston dies first.
I'm trying to remember how TC dies.
TC
I remember
dies.
the stairs part, but then he made that, and then is
How did he die?
I will come up to it in our notes.
Yeah.
And so we have them
I
going
literally
down.
watched it this morning. Both half last night, this morning.
We have the gang going down there to the tunnels, like you said, as they were making their way. Houston was given his hubba and then they do get down there and they notice that the noises. Well, I mean, it could have been a ghost, but they're rats. There's a bunch of rats
and
down
like,
there.
God damn it!
Mm-hmm.
And Lance is like, "This place is as haunted as a sock drawer. Like, we're not gonna see shit,
Mm-hmm.
basically."
Yeah.
And
Because
they're
at this
saying like
point
just like the other places.
They haven't been having any type of reactions or anything.
Yeah.
But we do have them. At least it's what the gang is listening to music. It's chilling. I don't know, but I think I remember that at this point we have one of the window opens in front of that camera.
Mhm. Yeah, the
And-
camera glitches.
Uh-huh.
So like every time a ghost encounter happens,
The camera will glitch.
the camera glitches or the like timestamp is just going haywire. It's
Mhm.
going like off the rails, not making any sense. And then and we see this window open, and of course they don't notice that until later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then TC. Oh, at this point I have. Yeah, okay. I might have skipped, like just written that they're just listening to music.
Yeah.
But TC's off on his own, and it's the fucking wheelchair.
Yeah. Because that's when his phone rings and someone is talking to him. And because he meant to go get
Y'all know I'm scared of
B-roll.
wheelchairs.
He went to go, oh, yes, I meant
Did
to
I
mention
send
this.
you that one?
Yeah, today.
Yeah. I was like, should I buy this? I'm terrified of it.
Face your fears.
I know.
And he was getting B-roll footage, and then his phone rings. It's about his wife or his baby.
girl,
His little girl wanted to talk to him. He can't get home, and so he's like talking to his little pumpkin. He calls her. It's very cute. And then the wheelchair moves behind him, and he doesn't see it obviously,
And I
but
was
we
just
do.
like, nope.
And then he's looking more around. He ends up going into a room, and then the door slams behind him.
Yeah. And he was
And-
reassuring, his little pumpkin on the phone. He was like, monsters aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
as the chair is moving.
yeah, I was like, oh, what's right behind you?
And so that door slams behind him, and he freaks the fuck out, as anyone would.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very loud slam.
Yeah.
Because it was a heavy door.
Yeah, and I mean, even to the point where he like goes to the ground because he's so scared. He's
Yeah.
like, "Whoa." Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he then, at that point, that's whenever everyone else comes up to him, right?
Mhm. Yeah, because he's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, he thinks someone's just fucking with him.
Mhm.
Because they hadn't had any
Yeah.
experiences thus far.
Yeah, and so the guys are looking at the footage and they're like, "Wait, what?" And so they're like, "Can we make this happen again?" And so that's whenever Lance is trying to invoke the spirit.
Feel
And
free to
he's-
slam it. as
Feel
hard
free to
as you
slam the
like."
store again. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he was
so
like
dumb.
the way that he was like saying like feel free to slam it, like slam it hard,
Yeah,
slam it as hard as you like, and I was like,
so dumb. But
it
they end up.
sounded very sick.
Yeah.
Like in my brain, I was like, meet it,
yeah.
Andrew. No,
For real. And they end up
He's
hearing
gonna
a
hate
loud
me for that. I'm
noise.
sorry.
They end up hearing a loud noise, and then they leave, and they end up finding a gurney that's like flipped over, and the
Mhm.
wheels are spinning on it.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell at first they had mentioned how sometimes like tub water sound comes from the tub.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought maybe like they were near that, and I was like, is that water running? And then it was like, because you could hear the like residual, like this whirring
Yeah.
sound as you were going up to it. And I was
Gotcha,
like, is
yeah.
it the tub running? And then it was just the wheels of the gurney. But yeah,
Super scary.
someone,
'Cause
like,
like, who the
straight
fuck
up
did that?
thrown that gurney.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
then
because
the
they were
way-
all together.
And the way it was just spinning,
Uh-huh.
the little wheel, as if it was like in perpetual, like a loop. Yeah. Until
'Cause it
they
was going
stopped it.
fast.
Yeah, and it had to be stopped by them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hear people running above them on the floor, and that's whenever I'm like, oh, that's fucking scary.
Yep.
Yo, time to go.
Let's get out right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, I would actually be very scared if this happened right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You're supposed to be there by yourself. Like,
Yeah.
That's and that was a lot of footsteps. It gave zombie apocalypse.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was like a herd of people
Yeah.
running.
And of course, they're all like, wait, what the fuck was that? What the actual fuck?
they're like, they're thinking other people are in this building now, just
Yeah.
fucking with them.
Yeah.
They're like, people have like, they go up there and they're like, we have a warrant or like a,
We have something to be here. You do not.
Yeah.
Houston, especially, is like, y'all should not be here. And he's all like
We're gonna
pissed
call
off
the
about
police.
it. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And then right after that, they do the EVP. And that's whenever she's asking questions again, and I'm like, oh my god, she's not even giving them time to answer back.
Yeah.
And then her hair gets fucking picked up.
And her hair went right up. I was like,
Yeah. And of course she freaked the fuck out.
I
She's-
would fucking do.
and she's running away, and they're like, oh my god, what the hell?
'Cause, I mean, it was like full on, like someone
Yeah.
went,
Picked it up. Yeah.
And-
And she said she felt someone breathing like behind her or something like that. Yeah.
and you on the EVP too, when she played it back, you could hear like this wailing, and then it was like while that was playing, this went up. So there's already like this like kind of weird sound happening, and then that, and I also like, so just kind of very similar to Cloverfield, the only like soundtrack that comes in is in the ending credits. So there's no like music really like being
throughout the
played.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But they do still do a good job of, sometimes I don't like it when they give like scares away too much of like this like rumbling sound coming out. I thought this movie did a pretty good job of their use of sound effects and stuff in it. And you do get not almost every time, but a lot of the times you get this kind of like, ooh, kind of sound as it happens. And you got one with this hair grab.
No, yeah, I feel you. There's like some sort of build up in a way. I honestly didn't even realize that there wasn't any music throughout this whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Till
I
just
didn't.
now.
I didn't either. And then I was
I
reading
guess
a little
that's
bit more about it,
yeah.
and it was like, yeah, like there's a few found footage films like Cloverfield and stuff like that don't utilize any music. Like it's just simply them.
All the film footage. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I
And
didn't
there's
realize
enough
it. It
going
works.
on the whole time
Yeah.
too that it just
They
kinda
don't
makes
really
sense.
need any background noise, and also like
Yeah.
you said, and especially in a movie like this, the silence in the background is definitely a lot more scary than like having music would have like levied it too much.
Yeah.
Would have made it a lot lighter.
And if like they were in, like, I mean, if they're in this situation in reality, you can't just like be blasting a bunch of shit while you're trying to talk to ghosts. So
It's gotta be quiet.
it makes sense.
And so Sasha is super freaked out. So Houston is going to take her down to the lobby because she's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And the way Houston's like, I'm gonna stay down there with her.
Yeah.
And then Lance was like, no,
You're
motherfucker.
coming back. Yeah, we're gonna check this shit out. And he's like, ugh, he does not want to go back up there. But yeah,
No.
so he ends up staying with her, and Lance and TC go back up. And that's whenever, or just Houston ended up going.
He agrees to go back
Yeah,
up.
that's
He
right. He
leaves
does,
her down there and he comes up, but Lance and TC do walk off on their own beforehand. And the only note I have is be careful what you wish for. And I don't remember what happened.
I'm pretty sure it was Houston saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or Lance being like, I want to see like this
Yeah.
or something.
That's
and
true.
it's like, yeah, you're about to get that and more.
Yeah, because they go up and they're also doing more spirit photography.
And there's actually, you can
actually
see some people
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Which, of course,
like
they
actual
wouldn't.
shadowy figures, ghostly
Yeah.
figures.
There was like one of a doorway shot where there was like a sort of wispy apparition. And then there's one at the window where there's like a hand streak and you can kind of see.
It looks like it's floating by.
Yeah.
They're trying to get to them.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Photobomb.
you know, like on Finding Nemo when they're riding that little rip current. What's that thing called? Where it crush the turtle.
Oh, the EOC.
Yeah.
Something.
That
Yeah.
ghost was riding that.
The East Australia EAC, East Australian Current.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I remember is give me some fin, noggin.
Dude. I love that movie. How
Classic.
old are you? I'm 110 or something like that.
Love it.
Anyways.
Turtles are fucking wild.
Yeah, they're cool. And so they've been here since the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Them
I like
and-
turtles. I'm sorry.
I like turtles. I love that. I like turtle. Where's that child today?
Oh, he's probably like super good looking and stuff and like really doing. I feel
I don't
like
even know how old that is.
all of those
as
like
well.
cringy ones, you know, like when it's like kids like acting real dumb, they like always have this like really good glow up and it's like, good for you, little awkward kid. I like turtles.
Literally, because they will forever be known as those memes. Or they just will never tell people that I would have never, I don't know.
I would.
It's like a secret
I'd be like a
that
fucking
you share with like just like close friends.
like, hey, by the way, you know that meme?
That's me. I like turtles.
I like turtles.
Literally. And so
Apparently,
they
that's my other favorite one.
which one?
Apparently, I've never been on live television before. This kid was like giving an interview and he just kept using the word apparently the whole time.
Yeah, was he on Ellen?
I think he did get on Ellen.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
after
think I
that.
know what you're talking about. And so, yeah, we have all those spirits. They are lost. Basically, yeah, they're lost, I would say.
Just like Blair Witch. This had many parallels to Blair Witch, in my opinion. So, and it did say they were trying to like stray away more so from Blair Witch, but like
They
the
give
whole
parallels.
tongue
Yeah,
thing.
because they did find a tongue.
Yeah, they found a tongue.
That's later, right? Yeah.
Mhm. And then with the hotel,
I'm like, what?
the asylum moving around them, kind of like the forest did.
Yeah,
I felt like
and they
for-
kept going in circles, basically. Yeah,
And
it
then there's
gives-
one other part in here that I'll have to remember when I get to my notes, but there was something else that gave me very Blair Witch vibes as well.
I could see that. Yeah.
Oh,
most
it's
definitely.
when Lance is like giving his monologues.
Oh, yeah.
He gives
yeah.
a few where he's like, I don't know how much longer like we're gonna last.
And he's like,
basically.
I'm not crazy
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
giving, you know, like
whenever
the
she's up
iconic
at the front
with her
she's-
beanie on.
She's like,
Mhm.
please tell Jack and Mom's dad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I brought them out here.
It's
Yeah.
my fault. I killed him.
My fault. We're all dead. Yeah. And so Matt is at this point not responding to them on their
Mhm.
walkie talkies. And then also TC is just not having it. He's not having fun anymore. I think at this point because I don't know if something else had happened at that point, but he was just like, I'm over this. Like I don't want to do
I think
this
he's
anymore.
just basically like, no,
He-
this is not making any sense.
Yeah.
Like things were
Especially
starting
because
to get,
they kept getting lost.
Yeah.
That's right. And they're like the floors were like, no, this isn't right.
and he's
because-
already heard all these things, and
Yeah.
he's like, I didn't like he's basically
I
like,
didn't
I
sign up
didn't
for
fucking
this.
sign up for real ghosts. I signed
Yeah.
up to just be like hee
Mhm.
and like we're just gonna make this ghost show, but we don't
Yeah.
actually believe in this. And then he didn't sign up for this place to be like, no, ghosts
Yeah.
are fucking real, and we're gonna show you.
Yeah, because they're all like
We're gonna kill you.
literally kind of just getting they're all starting to feel it at this point especially
And it's 4:51.
4:51 in the
You
morning.
get a timestamp,
yeah,
and so
we do.
you're like, oh, they only have to make it to 6 a.m.
Mhm.
So like in my head here, I
And
was
they're
like, oh,
thinking
they've
this as well.
already almost made it through.
And so they finally find each other after I guess I don't know how long TC and Lance were walking around down there, but they end up making it back to the area that
Yeah, because Houston had
Sash
made
was
it
his-
back to them.
Yes.
Because Houston's the one that was like, oh, this way is the way with the bathtub.
Mhm.
Like we've been this way.
Yeah.
And then so like Lance finally gets TC to come back, and whenever they get there, Matt's like, why didn't you fucking answer the
The walkie-talkie.
And they were like, why didn't you fucking answer the walkie?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like, and then later on, TC's talking about how the walkies only have like a 200-yard range.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's only 2 football fields.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
this
yeah, that's right.
entire like
asylum. Yeah, I'm sure it's
that's
more
not
than
very
that.
big.
Yeah, because that's also not don't walls.
It's 200 for clear.
don't-
And
yeah, walls and all that type of stuff and layers.
And I
like,
imagine once you get down into the tunnels, there's
Yeah,
got to
they
be
wouldn't
some
be able
extra
to
level.
hear each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't like how Lance was like berating TC with these questions as well. He's like, how far can they go? He's like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
something. And
At
then he's
one
like,
point,
what?
I,
like,
like,
what? And I'm
made
like,
a
damn.
note where TC it was when TC was going to he was like going up to the tub, I think, at that point when he gets like
Yeah,
that's how TC disappears.
that's right.
He goes into the fucking bathtub.
That's right.
The like scene
Gone.
that was like the main scene I remembered from this movie. I was like, I just remember there was a fucking bathtub filled with blood, and that shit was creepy.
Someone gets snatched.
And so that's how literally like the
literally.
best death in the whole fucking film. God.
That's why we didn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But while he's walking up to that tub, Lance is being like, what is it? Like, what's he looking at? What? And Jesus, like,
He's being
I
annoying
don't
the whole
fucking
movie.
know, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then
We find out. And so that's whenever they are basically just they want to get out of there. They're calling it quits. They're gonna get everything and all their shit together and wait by the door for Mr. Kinney to come by. So Matt goes to get the steady cams, and
Dumb
that's
as hell.
whenever
Why'd they let him walk off by himself?
Yeah, someone should have, or they all should have gone together. But
Yeah.
Matt ends up going to get the steady cams, and that's whenever he notices that the window is open. And so and then he ends up noticing something. We're not sure. He hears a noise or he's hearing something, and he gets drawn into like the other room where we can't see him anymore.
Oh yeah, bangs are coming from
yeah.
like other areas.
And that's whenever Matt's gone.
And then, like, because in my brain, I was already like, okay, you already know that your walkies are glitching.
Yeah.
And then.
So you can't communicate well.
Yeah. And I was
because
like,
they
why?
tell him to take the walkie.
Yeah.
And he even makes a joke about it being like, oh, it's not even going to work anyways.
Yeah. And then, like, so you know shit's going wrong. And if he's sitting there, I mean, obviously he's having to watch like multiple cameras at once, at least 10 cameras. But. Like, I'm sure you would have noticed a few of these glitches.
Yeah, it was
or
surprising to me
something.
that he already hadn't noticed that window was open.
Opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, I don't know. I was kind of like, boy, why are you walking off by yourself? That seems pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, like, as he walks off, how the fuck do you say?
Satan. Sasha.
Sasha. I almost said
Sasha.
Sasha. You know, I was like, that's
Sash.
wrong.
Sasha.
I was like, it's a long A, but not that long.
Mm-hmm. With
How
the
you
ah.
say it? Sasha. Like sash. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Like a sash.
Mm-hmm. Sash. Mm-hmm. Then that's why I think at some point they were just calling her Sash.
Sash, yeah. But then Sasha points it out, and I'm like, girl, like, why are you just now bringing up the radio's not working?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe we should have brought that up before Matt disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of questionable choices about all of these people, to be honest. Like being there in the first place, TBH.
I mean, would I like if I could like stay the night in Alcatraz or something?
I mean,
which I know
true.
that's not an asylum, but
Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to like spend the night in somewhere spooky.
I'd fucking do it in a heartbeat. I mean, if it's with an organized group.
Okay, you know what? Maybe not spend the night, but spend like a couple hours inside of it.
Oh, I definitely get locked in overnight.
Yeah.
Like, I want to lock in, like children's lock in, but I
Caitlin,
just want to be stuck.
You're going to die.
I'm going to die. Grave Encounters. I'm going to have to eat rats. I'm just kidding. I would literally, I would have matted myself.
Well, you would have what?
Matted?
Matted?
I would have matted myself.
With what? What do you mean?
Like how he dives head first down the elevator shaft.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm out.
Fuck
Yeah,
this shit,
I don't
I'm
know.
out.
Or live stream the whole time and then like have someone like it would have to be to where like you go in first and I'll be literally camping right outside and we'll test it out.
But we're not going to get cell service.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to eventually go inside looking for you.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going to die too.
This is the perfect movie.
I love it.
Let's write it.
Let's make it right now.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's this movie. It's Grave Encounters 3. Boobies.
2 random bitches come in.
Literally. In space. In space. The requel. And so we have Matt doesn't come back, obviously, because Matt's missing. So then they're like, we have to go look for Matt. So they go looking for Matt. And they end up coming across his equipment that's just like laid out all on the ground. Obviously, he wouldn't just leave his fucking equipment like that.
Yeah, because it's kind of like thrown. Like, it's not like a nice little pile. It's like strewn
just, like,
about.
yeah, it looks like it could be like messed up because it was just thrown. And so that's whenever like, this is weird. And so then that's when we have Lance saying, we're going to split up. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'm just like,
Sash is like,
we should not split up.
Absolutely not. This is a fucking dumb idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, Sash.
But she's not listening to her. So that's whenever we have Houston and Lance, right? They go with Sasha.
I think Houston and Lance.
It's 2 and 2.
Yeah. And then.
Well, I don't know because TC ends up being alone because that's how he falls down the stairs.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Houston goes one way. Lance and Sasha go one way,
and TC goes the other way.
Goes the other.
That's right.
And then, but we follow TC basically, and he's like walking up the stairs, and he's like, "Boy, you better be dead or dying." And I was like,
he's letting out, he's venting at this point. Yeah, and he's saying things that are very hammer on the head of like, we're around ghosts, or like you know, yeah. Like exactly like what you just said. You better be dying.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're about to be dying.
Like, oop, and I was like, he probably is dead or dying, and you about to be dead or dying too, bro.
Because very soon and suddenly we get him pushed down the stairs.
Yep.
He makes it all the way to the very top.
Like launched.
Oh yeah, he is like whopped.
Yeah, I even rewound it to just like see if like there was an actual shove, and he like his body goes thump,
Yeah.
Like,
And he hits hard. He falls because and his he's down the stairs and he's having a very real reaction. He's in pain and he's
Yeah.
like fucked up.
and his leg, like it
Uh-huh.
looked like it like
He wasn't broken per se, but he
Yeah.
was pretty banged
it was
up.
in like a nice little not comfortable position, and like
Yeah.
he was like kind of limping at first, but I guess he
Mhm.
walks it off because later he's
yeah, I
walking
mean, I
kind of
guess
fine.
he's lucky he didn't like snap his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
isn't that
know.
what happens when you fall downstairs? Like that's
A
how
lot of
people die. You
times,
just like
yeah.
snap your neck.
hmm
Oh, that's scary. I don't want
Or
to fall downstairs.
I think you could also
Just break
something
bones.
with your spine.
Yeah, I've fallen downstairs, but thankfully it was I fell. Well, not think. Oh, yeah, thankfully I was on my butt.
Yeah.
So I
I've,
was like,
yeah.
yeah, literally. Oh man, but I tell you, my ass was literally like the coccyx right here too, that tailbone and all that area. If I would laid down, literally for up to like a year later. If
Oh
I,
yeah, no,
if,
tailbone injuries take a long time.
If
to
I
heal.
laid on the bed a wrong way for like a long time on my back, like it would hurt. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I was like, ow, that pain.
I
Yeah.
like hurt mine once snowboarding,
Mhm.
and I like fucking fell so hard, and then I had to like walk like the fucking couple 100 feet to inside, and then I get to because my dad worked
Yeah.
there at that ski resort,
Mm-hmm.
and I like walked in. I was like, Dad, I fell so
Ouch.
hard I can't walk, and he was like, You're fine, and I was like, Okay. My tailbone was like bruised for
Ouch.
the
Yeah, no,
longest
it
fucking
hurts.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. He somehow willy nilly walks it off though.
Yeah, he gets up. He's big mad. Oh, he's pissed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
he's
be
not happy. Yeah.
too. And he's like, we're
Um,
getting the fuck out
yeah,
of here.
because at that point, what's her face found him, right? Sash?
Yeah.
She's the one that came up on him first.
Because they hear him yelling,
Mhm.
and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and so that's whenever they end up finding these doors because they're trying to get to the exit, and they break through a door, but it's not an exit. It's just they basically go through the door to go into another hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the door is painted with the same sign that whenever we were coming into the building, that was the outside, because we all watched it happen with
Death
the
awaits.
death awaits. It's in
Because they were in
a
the
middle
lobby.
of a hallway. Yeah.
They were in the lobby. They literally had walked through those doors to come in.
Yeah.
And they hadn't, like, Matt's whole setup was right there, and like their like home base
Yeah.
was literally
Next
like
to those doors.
5 feet away from the doors. Yeah. And then, so whenever he's like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
And it just leads to more hallways, and that's like, ugh. Because at that point, this place is just changing around you.
Yeah.
And I wonder.
It's giving Harry Potter in like the hallways.
Yeah, the
stairways.
moving staircases.
I want to go watch Harry Potter now.
We watched the first one the other day, and
Aw.
it was so cute.
Yeah. They're so little.
I know,
Yeah.
little babies.
Mhm.
But we, blah, blah, blah. I kind of want to believe that, like, I almost want to think like none of them, almost like it was like a simulation.
What was the whole thing?
Yeah, like almost.
Their whole experience?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Like they got in and maybe they just like didn't
That gives
even.
Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, like they
Mhm.
weren't really even interacting with one another. They each had like different memories of what
They're
happened.
really in like a little tube somewhere.
Yeah.
In a VR thing, and they're all like getting uploaded into the same room.
Uh-huh.
Mhm, I
And
can
they're
see
just
that.
like
Oh, yeah.
all there. They never actually moved. And then
Yeah.
this place is being manipulated around them. And
Oh, okay,
then
yeah.
that's why the time was able to
Feel like it
yeah.
was taking forever.
Because at
like,
this
just
point,
on
Kenny
and
was
on
over
and
an
on.
hour late. So
Yeah.
it was supposed to be 7-something a.m.
Mhm.
And that's obviously like,
Not true.
Yeah,
or,
not
well,
great.
he's late. Or because also the sun is not coming up on the
Yeah.
outside.
eventually they get to a point where they're like,
It's like 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, they said it's 8:34. I checked the sunrises yesterday. It was supposed to be 7:45. Like
Yeah.
the sun was supposed to be up.
Mhm.
It should be bright outside now, but it's
Mhm.
still pitch black. So I don't know. I just had that little idea as I was watching it, and I was like, that would be kind of fun if they just like all, or like if they
Mhm.
all actually went insane
Mhm.
or something,
Mhm.
which I feel like they
Which
did.
they will.
Yeah,
If they're not. If they didn't. Well, they did.
They
because
did.
Matt yeeted himself, and then, I mean, the other ones were technically killed, but they probably would have gone insane as well.
yeah.
Well, even what's her face was kind of going at it, going
Yeah.
at the end, coughing up blood and like,
Ugh.
I can't do it anymore.
I know
Yeah.
she was rough.
She was rough. She was
Mhm.
getting the brunt of it all. Poor thing.
She was.
And so yeah, they end up going through those doors and they're a little bit confused, and so they're like, well, let's keep going forward, even though this doesn't make sense. And then they find an exit door, but it ends up not even being an exit, so they're even
It's
more
like emergency
confused.
exit,
Yeah,
and it just leads to more hallways, and it's like
their windows won't budge. And they're fucking getting frustrated and pissed off, and it's still night out, even though it's 8 something in the morning. That's when we get that like whole bit about when the sun was supposed to come up. And at this point, Houston is by himself, and he's losing it.
and we jump ahead to I think 1:12.
Yeah.
This is when it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Yeah. Because everyone is taking a nap, I believe.
Yeah.
And Kenny is not showing up. They are.
They don't know what's happening.
Yeah, they're all just like, well, fuck it. They take that nap. And then that's whenever they get woken up to
And that's where we get the first little monologue that gave me very Blair Witch vibes from Lance.
And then after that, as they were asleep for a little bit, we have the light get pushed over that wakes them up. And
they had one of those big floodlights
that like used to have in like garages and stuff like that,
or on like
a
if you're
photo
in
shoot
a
or something,
workshop kind of thing.
And then they have Kenny. And then they all freak the fuck out, obviously, because it's like they were all, I'm sure, exhausted and in a deep sleep probably after what's happening.
And then just you hear,
yeah, especially when you remember like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, I'm in a fucking ghost infested asylum,
and none of the lights work, and that was our
dark
main
as fuck. Yeah,
last source
so
of
you're in
light.
the darkness now.
Yeah, that's not a flashlight and or like a camera light.
And so they end up
completely in the dark.
Yeah, they have some flashlights. And they're all kind of like, oh man, what the heck? And they end up, someone at some point wants to get food, and they realize that the food in the cooler is all rotted.
Yeah, TC went to get some food, a sandwich or something, and yeah, everything's rotted.
Poor guys, they just like they just aren't catching a break.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we still have some water, like bottled water, so we should be fine, which is, that's, I guess.
Even Lance is like, yeah, because we can make it like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, Lance, if I was there, I'd be like, how long do you think we're gonna fucking be here? What? Like,
yeah, I would have been like, no,
I don't think you. Yeah.
But and then so at this point, this is where the time lapse comes back in though, and they're like, TC's like, I saw a ladder on the outside of the building. It looked like a fire escape. If we can just get up to the roof, maybe we can just crawl down and get out.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because they take it's like Lance, I think, didn't want to do it or something, but they take a vote.
Yeah, he's like, basically like, is that the best way to get out? Because I think he was wanting.
It was like it's so tall or whatever.
Yeah, and I think he was maybe thinking go to the tunnels.
Yeah, because he wanted to go through the tunnels because it apparently is it's attached to all the other buildings. That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
But
they weren't down with that because they didn't want to go through some creepy tunnels, I think. Is what it was.
I would rather go up and then go down. Like I would have followed
As above,
TC.
so below.
That's right. And while they were like, when Lance finally agrees, he's like, okay, let's just get all the gear, let's pack it up, and let's head up there. And I was like, no, bitch, leave that fucking gear. Leave it.
Yeah.
You can come back for that once you've successfully gotten out.
Well, at this point, too, I'm also thinking, like, nobody's asking about Matt.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, nobody's even like, what about Matt?
Oh, Matt?
Yeah.
No, I forgot about him.
Yeah. And so they end up, they get their way all the way up to the stairs that go all the way to the, oh my God, I can't talk.
Rooftop.
To the rooftop. Thank you.
Yeah. They have the little sign that says like rooftop
it's like
access.
Yeah. But it's literally like blocked off with cement. It's literally, there's nothing there.
It reminds me of the Winchester Mystery House.
As soon as they get up there, it's blocked off. So
Stairs that lead to nowhere.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so scary.
It is.
I would be so scared. Oh my gosh. The whole reason that this movie even like made me feel even more scared than I even was, like, than I guess I even would feel, is just like thinking about being in this position.
Yeah.
I would lose
when
my
you really
fucking mind.
Put your like self into
I would
it.
lose my fucking mind.
And that's what I think I like found footage so much is because
so you feel like
can.
you're in it so much. Yeah.
But I don't like every found footage. Like I'm not a fan of the Paranormal Activities.
Yeah.
I think those are silly.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
So but like, yes, if I was in this situation, nah, I'd be freaking the fuck out. I think I put at one point in my notes, I was like, nope, I think I would. Yep. I said, nah, I feel like I would just go into the fetal position and just wait. I'd just be like, nope, put my head into my knees and just whatever wants to get me, can get me, but I'm just going to sit there.
And wait for it to get you.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're locked, I feel like they've tried everything. Once I saw that the roof was not accessible, I would have been like, nope.
Why not wait there?
I know. Yeah,
that one
maybe
spot.
something will happen.
It's like a fortress.
Change.
It looked like a very like
I feel like it would
Fortress of
booby trap them and be
Solitude.
like, "Boo," and the cement would come down the wall and
Squish you. Hey, I don't know. It just seems very like, I'm sure it was probably really dark in there though.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
had to be
But
stairwell. No, I mean,
the death would be like after 3 days going crazy and like thinking or hearing something's coming up and being like, and then like tripping and falling down those
Mhm.
entire stairs.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we have Sash. She is sobbing.
Sassafras.
She is literally sobbing
Yeah.
on the camera. She's just like freak the fuck out.
As we all would
As
be.
yeah, of course. And then we have them hearing a scream.
And it sounds like Matt.
It does, yeah.
so they're like,
that's when they're thinking it's fucking Matt, so they go running trying to find him, and that's whenever they end up having a chair move through the air, right?
Yeah, the cot. It's a cot, like a sleeping cot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it gets thrown. They find an empty room where the screams were coming from, or where they thought they heard them
Had
originating from.
Yeah.
And then yes, this like whole ass cot gets like thrown.
Thrown about, and
Um,
that's whenever they end up finding someone hiding in the room, right?
Uh,
Oh no, that's when they hide in the room.
Yeah,
They're hiding in the
they're
room.
taking like
Yeah.
sleeping shifts
That's
in
right.
that room, and
It's like a little closet or something.
yeah, and sleeping shifts never seem to work.
No, never in a
And-
movie. Someone always fucking falls asleep. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, don't make me be first on the sleeping shift because I will fall asleep.
Yeah, you don't want me to be on the sleeping
No,
shift.
I'll fall asleep. I'm sorry.
I cannot stay asleep, but I have no issue falling asleep.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like most of the time, like my insomnia works like I can fall asleep for like an hour.
and then you
and
wake
then
up
I'm
and
like,
then be up.
I can't sleep.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I fall asleep while driving all the time. Very
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah,
I fall
well,
asleep in movies,
yeah.
especially if it's a reclining chair one.
Okay.
And then I went to one of those iPicks once where they give you like a blankie and a
Yeah.
little pillow and some popcorn.
I'd knock out.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Well,
I just
I-
paid $32
yeah,
to take a nap.
I don't usually knock out at movie theater, but like at home, oh yeah, especially when I'm on the couch or
Mhm.
something, I'll knock out.
Yep.
Yeah, like very grandpa style.
Yep.
Mhm.
Same.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so,
We're just old.
yeah, we are. And so
Mike's like, what the fuck?
they're hiding in there, and they are taking those sleeping shifts, and that's whenever they end up waking up after someone, I think TC fell asleep.
Mm,
Or no, it was Lance. I don't know. Someone fell asleep on their shift, and we have Sasha waking up with cuts all over her back.
yeah.
And it just says something, does it not?
It says hello.
hello. Yeah, it's so fucking scary.
It says, yeah, they wrote hello in like scratches on her
Mhm.
back. So they
Yeah.
like carved it into her back. Like, I mean, it wasn't even just like superficial
But it
scratches.
was the way
like
that
blood.
it was blood out, but she was asleep, right? I guess, and then
Mhm.
woke up after it was already all done, and then it's like, ow.
Yeah.
I don't
or
know.
it could
I don't
have
know how
all
that works.
happened at once and then it
And then-
woke her up.
That's true.
Yeah. Like it just like originates on her skin. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I
And
guess.
that's what, because we don't see it happen. We
Mhm,
just,
we don't,
they're
yeah.
like, oh my God, look, we woke up, and they like show her scratches. And then while all this is happening, they hear someone say hello
On the
via
walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which
And-
is supposed to be Matt.
And they just hear that, like, they're not really communicating. And then you hear him saying, like, he's freezing cold
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
and it's the way I'm thinking. Also, I'm like, that's not Matt. That's some
Yeah, I was
spirit
like,
messing with you or something.
And then I was like, or it's like kind of black phone situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like he already
the
did.
spirit. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
true.
And then while they're like sitting there listening to that, we see a little girl, a
Yeah.
girl or a woman run
That's who I was
past.
thinking of. Yeah. Because they go, well, they, yeah.
The way she ran past, I was like, I love
Yeah,
it.
because they were looking for him, and then she runs right by, and I'm like, oh, that's not fucking Matt.
Nope.
And it's some
I was like,
demon
that's a
girl.
woman.
Yeah, because she ends up being really fucking creepy here in a bit.
Yeah.
But at that point, we lose Houston, do we not?
Yeah. So as they run to go follow her and
Yeah.
stuff, or I think they get, okay, so no, they go follow her. They follow
That's when
her.
they go into that room, and she's in the corner,
They
right?
go into the room. She's in the
Yeah,
corner, and then she
okay.
turns around and she's like, "Wah!"
Demon face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was kind of like, that's kind of comical, but then also like, nah, if I saw that shit in real life, I'd
I'd be
like
freaked the fuck out.
lose my mind.
Literally.
Like, 'cause-
yeah, it was a little
and-
comical, but I was.
But it's not
also-
like 0.0 megahertz, like that hair
Yeah, no.
ghost. I mean, I still liked that ghost,
Yeah.
but like I don't like when they show the faces and stuff, but
And this one definitely showed the face, and it's very like CG, like but like if I
that's
saw
how they wanted to separate themselves from Blair Witch.
yeah
I was reading stuff about it, and they really wanted to make the demons like come at you
okay,
and
gotcha.
run at you.
Uh-huh.
And so they weren't like just kind of skirting around him, which most of the time I typically hate. But I feel like they did a pretty good job of making the faces.
It didn't
like,
happen too many times too. It's not like it happened
but I
every
think we
other-
have 3 moments where it really happens. And this one, it did kind of spook me. I
Yeah.
was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, me too. Because like, oh shit,
And then they obviously run.
they run because what else do? You should do that. Run away from the demon girl.
And that's
because
when
it's very
Houston
dark.
gets separated.
Yeah, because Houston gets separated. Houston is looking for them, but it's the way that like because we see. It's like the view of like when you see things in the dark, like we can see what's going on, obviously, but they're in complete pitch black.
Yeah.
It's just pitch black.
Which
So-
you kind of forget
Mhm.
in the film because
Because you
we
can-
have that night vision with the camera.
Mhm.
But then until you see them like tapping along the walls, like they can't see.
Yeah, they can't see shit.
They're completely in darkness.
Yeah, that's scary as fuck. And so that's whenever he's just in the dark and he ends up getting strangled.
Yeah.
And
Some
getting
door
attacked.
opens
Yeah.
and he kind of goes towards it and it's like, ooh, don't go in there. And this
Mhm.
is where I said, nope, I would just go into the fetal position and wait.
Yeah, he's
And
getting strangled.
Yeah, it's, like,
and
lifted.
up into the air, and he kind of just gets dropped a little bit, and that's whenever he's going up a little bit forward, trying to get away essentially, and he gets fucking yeeted,
yeah.
like just thrown across
like
the room,
as if he was in a catapult.
yeah,
And just like thump, right into like the light. And there's like
Uh-huh.
some electrical explosion happens
Uh-huh.
and then he just hits the ground.
and he's
And
obviously dead.
he is dead.
Yeah,
And then this is where now they're in that closet.
Mhm.
This is where the 3 made it to the closet.
That's right.
And TC falls asleep and they all wake up with the medical bracelets with their
Oh,
names
that's
on it,
right.
making them now patients there.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, they are not okay.
Yeah. And at that
Mhm.
point I was like, could I have done without that? Like I didn't need a physical like
Yeah, because it's like we're
representation of them
where'd
being
they
there.
get
Like
that?
clearly they're already.
becoming the patients themselves.
Mhm. But I guess it does help tie
it
like
was a little too
Matt
heavy.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point too is like what makes me feel like maybe this, like what if this all was brought back to Friedkin and this was
Uh-huh.
he's like had this mind experiment going on or something,
Oh, yeah.
and he like made them believe this alternate reality, and then like time is slipping, almost like Shutter Island too,
Mhm.
where they're not sure which reality is theirs.
Yeah.
And they're having
get what you mean.
slips come
Mhm.
through, and
Coming
then
in
they're
and out.
seeing the bracelets, and they're like, "Oh fuck!"
They are
like,
actually the patients the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would like that.
It should be the.
Well, I think there is talks of a third Grave Encounters that's a prequel.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Of how the asylum
I think how Anthony Friedkin.
was doing all that shit.
Hmm.
I'd watch that.
I would too.
Yeah. And so they end up hearing laughter.
Mhm.
They hear laughter. And they are walking in circles trying to like get out basically. And I just remember something attacking Sasha at some
Yeah,
point.
they were like kind of they stood to like kind of be like, okay, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And they were in front of this door that had like, you know, like one of those little diamond shaped mirrors or something, or windows on it, and a hand just like poof, fucking through, and then like grabs Sasha's head and is
Oh
like,
yeah.
or Sasha, fuck,
Sash.
Sasha.
Let's call her Sash.
Sasha,
Just Sash. Yeah. And so
Sash.
yeah, at this point, I'm just like, I'd just call it quits. Yeah.
And and she kind of does. She's like, I can't keep going. And I'm like, bitch, you gotta, no, we
Yeah.
gotta run.
Yeah.
It's
and,
go time, motherfucker.
and they end up finding Matt. But he's like in a gown, like a
He's
hospital
full
gown.
on patient mode.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting there talking
He's not
about like
himself.
patient is showing like blah blah blah, and it's like due to childhood phobias, blah blah blah, and like sitting there talking as if
Yeah.
he's having his diagnosis or prognosis
Mhm.
recited to him,
Yeah, he's
and
going a
he's-
little crazy.
just repeating it.
Yeah. And so he's not himself, of course. They wake up and go hands coming out of the wall. Oh, that's whenever
Oh.
they have the hands coming out of the wall.
Yeah, and they're so all of them too are just like kind of yelling at Matt, like Matt, like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And it's like clearly something is fucking off with him.
Yeah, it's
He's
not
now
himself.
in a hospital gown.
Mhm.
He's sitting here.
He obviously didn't
this.
bring the hospital gown with himself.
Yeah, he was like, oh, this will be a funny trick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe he was a prankster, but I feel like no, he's not sitting there. Just I don't.
yeah. No,
I don't
it's-
understand why they were being so like yelling at him and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
bitch, he doesn't have the fucking answers.
Yeah.
And then this is where he does say, he says, we can all leave as soon as we're better.
Mm-hmm.
He says that, and he says, progress is slow, but the patient is responding to treatment. And he says, he'll help you too, and laughs.
Yeah.
And that gave me
We're
kind of
talking about Friedkin.
we'll float too. You'll float
Oh
too.
yeah.
And then Sasha, fucking God,
Sasha.
saying she doesn't feel well and is feverish and stuff. And they like, then they
Mhm.
wake up and yes, hands,
Are coming out of the walls.
ceiling, walls. And they're
Yeah,
like,
it's like everything.
they're big ass hands.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded
It's a
me
lot
of
of them too.
The Haunting. And
Yeah.
with that, I feel like imagined scene I had in my brain of the
Mhm.
person coming out of the canopy.
Oh yeah.
No, that was a real scene, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh huh. Yeah, the haunting.
Yeah, and it was
And then like
real
all the
big.
cherubs coming on out
Yeah.
of the walls.
It kind of gave me, because those hands they weren't like normal, like hand size. They were like, I don't know, fucking Thanos, like,
Yeah, they were thick.
beefcake, like,
They were thicky hands.
Ooh.
Yeah. And there was a lot of them.
yeah,
And they were coming out of everything. And of course, they're freaking out.
I would have shit myself.
Yeah. And they end up going into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Where the bathtubs are. And they see that one bathtub that girl killed herself in, full of blood. And TC's walking right up to it, which I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
because
shit.
well, Matt's just sitting there staring in it.
Oh,
He's
that's
just
right.
sitting there staring at it, and it's like, and so TC's going to get him, and this
Yeah.
is where Lance is asking all those fucking dumb questions,
Mhm. What do you see?
and he's like, what's he looking at? And
Yeah.
TC's like, I don't fucking know,
No,
man.
that's why I'm walking up to get a closer look, which I
Yeah.
shouldn't. But
like
yeah.
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, and he's going to get Matt, but that's whenever something pops out of the fucking tub and grabs TC and pulls him into the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, he's in there, and Matt's just laughing like maniacally.
He's losing his shit. He's
Mhm.
just in the corner, and he's like,
And then that's whenever they go to look in the fucking tub,
They-
and Lance throws it over, right?
Yeah,
he
they
pushes it
fucking
over.
like
Mhm.
capsize or like cow tip this clawfoot
Mhm.
tub.
And he's gone. Like,
Yeah.
literally, there's no body in there. Which actually, I'm just like, where the fuck did he go?
No,
and
it's
so
amazing.
yeah, and they're still trying to get out. They end up finding some elevators.
Mhm. And I would not. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. Why
No.
would you go through an elevators in a place that doesn't work with no power and like no electricity? How is that even like a?
Exactly. And then I guess he was like, oh, it's an elevator shaft. Like, because I was thinking that immediately. And then he's like, we can climb down to get
And go
to the tunnels.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, yeah, that does make sense. But also, no.
No, yeah. And so we find out that that's whenever Lance ends up going away from so it's at this point we just have Matt, Sasha, and Lance by the elevator, but then he hears something, so then he goes
So
to
he's
look
dumb as hell.
Yeah, let me go check it out.
I put, boy,
instead
I
of
know
just
you're
leaving,
not going off by yourself
yeah,
right now.
and so then he goes, and that's whenever he finds the tongue on the floor
Mhm.
in the
And then
corner,
I was
and
like,
then
Blair Witch.
there's a fucking demon like in the corner.
I like
and,
it was like,
and it's yeah. It's so a little comedic, but if I saw it, I'd be scared and run off. Yeah,
because it's like it's
just
like
they're
in
all
that top corner, so it's got like
Uh-huh.
a leg pressed to either side of the wall, the hands on the ceiling, and it's like.
Yeah, it's scary. It's a monster. And that's whenever he starts running, of course, and he's running towards her, to Sasha and Matt. And that's whenever we have Sasha's just screaming as well. She's just screaming like crazy.
Yeah.
Because she ends up seeing what Lance is seeing. And then he's getting attacked essentially by the thing.
I know. I thought he was
Uh-huh.
gonna die.
I
but
thought so too.
She runs up. She helps him. They close the door on him.
And they're able, to get him on the other side of that. And they end up at this whole point, while they're fighting the whole demon, Matt has been losing it. And
he like picks up the camera. He's just
Uh-huh.
like laughing into it, like right on his face.
Yeah.
And
And then
then-
he goes to the elevator shaft and just throws his body off. And he hits the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So he's out.
He basically just like dives head 1st.
Jumps to his death. And,
And
that's
they-
whenever we have Sasha and Lance coming back. They're like, oh my God, where the fuck is Matt? And they're like, oh shit. He
They
fucking
look
jumped.
down there and they're
Yeah.
like, oh,
And his body's
he's
just right there.
dead.
Yeah. And then they have to climb down it and walk right next to his dead body.
And the whole time Lance is to Sasha being just like, it's okay, it's okay. And I was like,
He
Lance,
was very
I don't think it
nonchalant
actually
about
is
it.
okay.
Yeah.
I
He
was like,
didn't-
stop it.
He was not like
Nothing about this situation is okay.
Sasha was obviously like, oh my God, our fucking friend. And he's just like, he's treating it like nothing.
Which is like, I get, like, because I know there were a few moments in like As Above, So Below where we were like, okay, like it's like we got to keep moving. And like, so I get it. But like the way that he he wasn't being like, hey, we got to go. Like, I know this is terrible, but like we have to get through this. He was just being like, it's okay. And I'm like, it's fucking not okay.
Well,
Lance.
at this point, even for Lance, I'm surprised that he gives the person who would like leave everybody else just to like save himself. And so
1000%.
Sasha,
Zach Bagans would.
They make it to the tunnels, and Sasha is definitely not okay. She is she's not even emotionally, but physically.
She's puking up blood.
She's been having a fever. I don't know if it's like a physical reaction to the spirits or if something's like inside of her maybe at this point.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, but she's like, her body is not handling it.
No.
And
I mean, at this point, we don't even know how many days it's been.
Yeah.
Because they've
that's
lost
true
track.
because they said that they've actually been down there for what, a few days or something like that.
They've been having some
it's
like
loops.
ability to sleep, and so they've been sleeping when they can and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
and their feet are killing them. They are hungry. And they end up taking a little break at one point.
I don't understand why Lance expected the tunnels to be any different when the building is changing above you.
Yeah.
I feel like I would trust underground even less.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly. I agree. It's crazy. And it's also underground. It's like, that's just even scary.
Yeah, I don't want to be underground.
Like, let's go closer to hell. I don't know if that's how it works. But
literally As Above, So Below.
Yeah. And so they end up taking like a little break, and they're just like posted up against the wall, taking a nap. And at this point, a mist comes up.
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes Sasha away. Like,
it's a way that I didn't even notice at first. I was just like, oh, a mist. And then I was like,
it rolls out, and then you're like, oh, fuck, she's not there anymore.
It took me like a half a second, though. Even after the mist was gone, I was like,
yeah.
It's like, what's different between these two pictures?
Well, it is not the same.
And I was like, oh, fuck, Sasha's gone.
Like, her whole body's not there.
Yeah.
Because it's like a whole, like, another 30 seconds, because then he wakes up, and he's like, Sasha?
Yeah. And while so we're viewing this from that sub-level tunnel camera, that camera 10 or whatever I had said earlier. And the whole time, the, like, timestamp's going wacky. It's just like...
Yeah, the glitches that we've been getting.
Yeah. And then, boom, Sasha's gone. And now it's just you, Lance.
And then his light dies, which makes it even worse. And so he starts doing EVP at this point to try to talk to some guys. Some guys. And it's
there's a bunch of screaming.
It's just a bunch of screaming, and Lance is obviously getting very loopy at this point.
He's like, it's kind of like a game. Like, how long can you go?
Yeah, and then he ends up killing a rat, and he eats the rat.
Oh, and I like the way that he was like, at one point, he looks into the camera, and he's like, is anybody watching? And then he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck all of you.
And I was
like,
for you.
I was like, damn, I feel called out right now.
Yeah.
Like, I am watching. I felt personally attacked.
Raise your hand.
And I was like, I'm watching you.
And so
he was like, fuck you. He gave me enough time to respond, too.
Yeah.
He's like, is anybody watching? And I was like,
very Dora.
Me.
And he ends up,
fuck you, Map.
And poor guy, because he ends up killing that rat and eats it because he's going crazy.
It was so gross. And the way that we get the close up of him eating it later as he's just like losing his shit, and he's like,
and then eventually he ends up finding a door. It just kind of appears, essentially.
Yeah, and the way that he was like, this is the door, and I was like, I don't think that's a door that you are looking for. Yeah. It looks very not promising at all. It looks actually
like Doom,
like solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, you don't need to go in there. And then he walks in, and he's kind of transported back in time or finds this secret lab, I'm supposing.
Yeah.
He's in the lab of Friedkin. He's in Friedkin's lab. He's in the Friedkin lab.
The freaking lab.
Yeah.
And it's very spooky. Spooky.
Now, tell me.
He sees the doctor's experiment shit. Yeah, what's up?
The photos that were on that whiteboard, were some of them?
I didn't notice. I honestly didn't.
Because like the first person definitely wasn't them. But then one of them, as he was like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And he's saying that. And it's like there was like someone's skull missing, and like you could see like
the brain. Yeah, I
in
saw that
there.
part.
And one of the people kind of looked like Matt. Like I thought they had like a nose piercing, and so like clearly out of the time of because someone literally had a nose piercing.
I didn't notice.
And I was like, I don't think that's of that time period, the 1800s.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know
because I don't remember. I didn't
because the first person like definitely
focus
wasn't
on their faces on the photos. Yeah,
I even rewound it to try and tell, but it was all kind of like so fast.
Yeah, that's it
that I
happens pretty
couldn't
fast.
really tell. But I was like, oh, is that them on there? Because then that's like,
I would add to it.
yeah, because especially
But-
since he gets a lobotomy, basically.
But
I
then
mean, that's
there's
how
so
it ends.
much interpretation because like it isn't specifically said. So even if it was like, is that because it was meant to be? Were they chosen, or is it just him losing his mind and seeing that?
Mhm.
Because that's just what his mind is doing.
Yeah.
And even him literally right there saying like, I don't know what's fucking going on. I'm losing my mind. Essentially.
Yeah.
And he sees all of the experiment shit. And it's very occult because there's like
yeah, they come across like some
a-
satanic.
satanic shit. I don't know. There's a whole
And at that
pentagram
point, I was
thing
like, why do
with-
they have to link it back to that?
and
It's like, why can't it just be like,
crazy spirit doctors and
yeah,
evil
that have nothing to
juju.
do with Satan?
And so then we have the doctor. He sees the doctors, and they're performing a lobotomy.
And it's the
and
way that he's like,
freaking out. Yeah,
and they all go,
and look at him. Yeah,
I would
and
be
then
like,
he's
"Oh,
freaking
no."
out, and he's like, saying that he's not crazy. And they take him because they're going to give him a lobotomy.
And I like how while we're hearing him struggle and everything, we've just got this like perfect shot of these books that I guess fell, but they're perfectly stacked. And one is like the medical treatment for mental disease. And so you're just getting this like nice little shot of these books and stuff while you're hearing him like yelling, I'm not crazy, I'm not crazy. And then it flashes back to him.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm all better now. I can finally go home. And then you just see this like blood coming down from his
eye.
tear duct. And if you know anything about how
You get a
lobotomies were
lobotomy, yeah.
performed, you got an ice pick right through your eyeball because it
To
got
your
you to that
brain.
prefrontal cortex. And they just stir it all around in there.
Yeah. That fixes everything.
Yep. It just makes you like
Yeah.
basically a shell of a person. And then I love the way that he was like, this is Lance, whatever, for grave encounters. You're like signing off.
Yeah.
I
And
was
that's,
like, bitch, how did you sign off after your lobotomy? What?
and that's it.
So
and
silly.
that's how it ends. Yeah. And that is
But I like that ending.
2011 Grave Encounters.
And so like that's what I want to believe he's dead. I mean, if he comes back, he needs to be, I want him to have actually gotten that lobotomy.
yeah.
Unless they make it an alien sort of thing, which I wouldn't mind. I need this to be some virtual reality shit. Where
I
they've
can see
like
that. Yeah.
gone on these like people who are like, oh, almost like what's that one where they remade it? It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger originally, and they remade it recently, where they lock you in and they do. Is Mike out there? Mike. He's not. Hey, what's that one where Arnold Schwarzenegger? They remade it recently, and it was like they go under, and it's like a virtual reality thing. What? Maybe. Did they remake that like within the last 10 years? Oh, sorry.
I don't know, you guys.
I want it
I
to
can
be
help
this
you.
sort of situation. What if it's a spinoff of that movie?
It could be. We'll have someone listening let us know.
The remake was pretty okay too. It's got like that like sand dunes or some shit like
What?
Mars. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
I'm
what you're talking
combining
about.
18 movies in my brain.
Are you sure it's Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I'm pretty sure Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the original,
Okay.
the OG,
And it's
like
got
from the
sand
80s.
dunes, and it's okay. I don't know. We'll have to look it up. We'll have to definitely.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, sand dunes. Okay, we'll have to cut part of this part out probably.
Yeah.
I am curious, so now I need to know. What is it? Oh, is he going to come in? Like, was it not Justin Timberlake or something? Or,
What? I'm so confused.
yeah, Total Recall. Total Recall.
Oh,
3 boobs. Yes.
Total Recall.
Yeah, Total
The
Recall.
first one had Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep, the original 1990. I said 80s.
Oh,
Whoops.
okay.
Yes.
Total
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Yeah. I know which one you're
That's
talking
maybe I was thinking
about.
of.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I haven't seen either of them though.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually like those movies.
Um.
Anyways, Boo Time
Yeah.
for this movie.
Oh, Boo Time.
Grave
Yes.
Encounters.
Okay. We are at. I'm gonna give this one a 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why's that?
3.5. I enjoyed the story. I thought that even for a found footage, it actually wasn't too bad. I actually could stomach this one more than the
Mhm.
other one.
Yeah, there was only a few scenes that were
Mhm. Where it
really,
was, like,
really shaky.
And
It was at the beginning whenever they were like kept panning in on his
Yeah.
face a few times. I was like, can we stop
Yeah.
that? Like the whole going from like one depth to another was really
Yeah.
like tripping me up.
But no, I
But-
thought, like you said earlier, the characters were pretty well fleshed out. I had a good flow. People were actually dying. Yeah, so there was a little death count there, and I just overall really liked it. And I think a lot of it too, I was watching it by myself at night, and I was also just kind of like putting myself, like, if I was in this position, how would I feel?
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty scary.
yeah.
I was really like, oh, I'd be terrified. I'd be running. I'd be losing my mind. I'd be so pissed off that I'm even there. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like everything.
It'd be like cussing at
Yeah.
everything. Just
At
being
myself,
like, Get
just
me out
even
of
like,
here.
why the fuck did I get myself in this
Yeah.
situation?
Like, why
like,
did I
I
set
know
myself up for
better.
this?
Like,
Yeah.
I know.
I've seen so many horror films about this.
literally. And every time I'm like, you deserve it.
You deserve it, and
You
then now
shoulda known
look
better.
at that.
Yeah.
I deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at 3.5, it was pretty good. It was pretty solid. I hadn't seen it before. I'd never heard about it. So it wasn't, yeah.
I feel like it's again a very like underrepresented, underappreciated kind of, because it came out in 2011,
Mhm.
which when a lot like obviously Blair Witch came way before, but
Mhm.
people kind of really started running with that ball then,
Of,
and we were kind of getting flooded with
found
these
footage?
found footage films.
Mhm.
So we were starting to get like all the Paranormal Activities were coming out. I believe Cloverfield came out around that time as well.
Mhm.
And so all of these were just coming out. And so it felt like a very saturated kind of market,
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
so I feel like it was kind of overlooked. Had it come out before all that, I think it could have possibly like gone down almost as like a classic.
Yeah. Well, and also too, it's just
Or
depends.
even like way after.
Well, even it depends on any movie too. Like,
But a
They-
lot of like the critics and stuff pegged it for its like unoriginality because it's a found footage.
Mhm.
But again, I feel like it's a very
But I feel like
clever
there's
take
a
on a
lot
found
of-
footage.
that's said about a lot of found footage, just because
Yeah.
it's so like,
I mean,
horror and
horror in
essence as well
general.
is overlooked.
Because
So-
everyone's it's
Mhm.
definitely one of the like least people don't like it. Horror's not out here winning all the awards.
No, yeah, of
And
course.
then most of the time, like I know that in a bunch of like documentaries and stuff that I've watched too about even like horror directors are like, no, we know like horror's like basically the like laughing stock
trash.
of film.
Mhm.
Yeah, no one ever really takes it seriously, but
yeah, it's
then there's also such like a cult following.
I feel like
obviously
for
people
some
like us.
reason, and I don't even know why to this day, even like in the Oscars, why there's not even like a best horror feature of the year,
Yeah,
because
for
that
real.
could totally be a category, because there's so much that comes out and people do enjoy horror movies. There's enough people that are like, oh, that was like, that was a good
Obviously
one.
they do, or they would
Yeah.
stop making them.
Yeah. So I feel like it almost gets to like, it's the like smut of the cinema world, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
it
you know?
does.
Yeah.
1000%.
It's the smut. yeah.
And that must be why I love it.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I feel like that's again because of that, and then because of when it came out and stuff, that
Mm-hmm.
this was just it was called unoriginal, and like we said, like all horror can really
Well, also budget wise, it just doesn't even seem like the type of movie that would have had that much of like what's that thing public like whenever promotional campaign. Like it
mhm.
just doesn't seem
the
like it was.
budget
It
was
doesn't seem like it
not-
was promoted as.
the budget wasn't very big, but it actually did end up grossing quite a bit of money, which
Yeah.
technically made it still a
Well, I mean, and technically those kind of movies too, they kind of cut on overhead, because like when you have your actors filming half of the movie.
yeah
And,
themselves.
and yeah, and it doesn't cost that much to be in the dark. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think for a lot of movies, lighting is one thing that's like just
You're not
fucking
having
expensive.
to
Mhm.
spread your own leaves that you've painted to shoot in California.
Mhm.
But okay, and so I don't remember where that fact is, but really they did like they made a decent profit off of the film. But the setting of the film's fictional Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital is actually the Riverview Hospital, an abandoned mental institution in, I have no clue how to say this name.
Sound it out.
Coquitlam? It's Coquitlam.
You lost me at the Q.
I'm going to go with like Coke.
You lost me at the Q. Because why is there a Q after a CO?
Coquitlam. I don't know. British Columbia.
Giving cock.
But it was built at the turn of the 20th century and closed down in 2012. And it's also hosted, it's been a host for such films as Watchmen and The X-Files. And it was filmed over 10 nights and 2 days. 10 nights.
Wow.
We were thinking that the whole series for Fear Street was fast.
Yeah.
10 nights.
10
2
nights.
days.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty clever.
That's fast production, man.
Yeah, it really is. And then also Dr. Arthur Friedkin shares a surname with William Friedkin, who directed The Exorcist.
Okay.
But as for me, I realized I had not said my booze yet.
Yes, what are those booze?
I really did enjoy this film. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and I think I even got a deeper appreciation for it watching it this go around, which I feel like is kind of the opposite most of the time. I don't know. There's some of the ones that I just
when
kind
you
of
watch
didn't.
it and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem as good as it used to be.
Yeah, like House of
Yeah.
Octoberbelt.
Yeah.
When I watched it I still did really enjoy that film.
Yeah.
And I would still watch it again, probably. But like there's a lot of films where I'm like, oh, this is a good film. And then we watch it and I'm like, I didn't like that. This one is not one of those.
It held the test of time.
It did. And I watched it again and I liked it more. I was still a little creeped out, like I said, in my room last night. I think I would give this one, I'm like stuck between a 4 and a 4.5. So 4.25.
4.25.
4.25.
And a 3.5. So it makes it like a 3.9. Or 4. I don't know.
Or a 3.75.
I don't know. It's somewhere in there.
3.8.
Yeah, I like that.
We don't know math here.
We don't.
But yeah, it's a really solid film overall. Like I said, I mean, I feel like I've just been blowing this movie's like pumping it up. I'm like the number one Grave Encounters hype fan.
It's a 3.8. It's a 3.875.
Damn,
Yeah,
nice.
3.875.
You were closest. You said 3.9. You're so smart. But I really did. The flow, everything seemed very natural. We had a great reason for having a camera. All of the stuff was so nicely set up for you. Even like
I liked how the hospital kept going like in circles, like adding and changing how everything was set up. Yeah,
it was cool. And then the acting was like, again, it was supposed to be satirical at first, and then it just gets like kind of like, oh fuck, like okay, we're not like, because you kind of see these actors go from acting to not acting, but like at that point it's like
it adds to the layers of it, because at first they're like, this shit ain't real, and then it's like, oh shit, the shit talkers are like having to
they're having to eat their words. And then so like at the beginning they're like acting, and then they go to not acting, but like in reality I feel like that's their like least level of acting to then their actual good acting.
I get what you mean
too. So that idea is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I
the
tried to look
irony of them when they were supposed to be acting, it was like very cheesy, but then like them actually acting in a movie seems
real good.
Yeah,
and they seemed like genuinely terrified. So I liked that. Overall, great film. I hope that you watch it this spooky season. I think it's a great one to get you pretty spooked out.
Yes, watch it with all the lights off. Watch it with a friend, but also even more so if you're alone. This is a good one to watch.
With your cat skirting about. Makes you terrified.
It was like an hour and 40 or something like that.
An hour and 33.
Hour 33, yeah. So
and that's like including the credits.
Yeah, so really like an hour and like 27 minutes.
Yeah. Easy, nice, bite-sized film. Very easy to get through, and it is well paced.
It's nice to fall asleep to. Oh, excuse me, you guys. We're having beers, so
yeah, it does it to you.
I
I did fall asleep to it last night.
was about to say, yeah.
I was getting nice and sleepy. I was like, "Aw."
Yeah. People screaming and wailing in the background.
And I'm like, this seems like a good time to go to bed.
So this movie was brought to us I'm sorry. Recommended. What's the word?
Yeah, recommended. Brought to us. Brought to you by
Okay.
our listener.
So this movie was recommended to one of our listeners, Kelsey. Recommended by, yes, Miss Kelsey. She really wanted us to watch Grave Encounters. Shout out
This
to Kelsey.
is who we met that one time remember at Union Hall when we ran into that old friend
my
of
God,
yours?
yeah, that's hilarious.
So this is Kelsey.
Oh, now that all makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we met her. We randomly met Kelsey one time at Union Hall.
Yeah.
And her friends because
of me. Yes, that's right. Because I had a friend there.
Yeah. And then we just
and-
ended up eating dinner with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It worked out.
It was super fun. And then she actually listens now and she gave us some recommendations whenever we posted it. So
And if you want to give her a follow, her Instagram handle is at Kelso McGee, KELSOMCGEE.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's her review. Caitlin, what was that review?
She basically gave us 2 films to consider. And then she said Grave Encounters, if you include the sequel, she would say is a 3.8 out of 5. But she didn't give me her actual, because she said Oculus is a 4 out of 5, which
Gotcha.
Oculus is a great film. And then if you include the sequel, 3.8. So maybe we'll have to follow up too and figure out. But she said the mind fucked of the building, not allowing the film crew to escape, and Grave Encounters developed into such an irrational fear. She said, I now have years later. And it just freaks her out. The building changing around you.
I agree with you,
yeah.
Kelsey. Yeah,
I would not wanna be.
also did not enjoy that part.
Exactly.
Because you're just I would lose my mind because you're literally in a never-ending loop. There's no hope to me at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. If your reality is being manipulated around you, no.
Yeah.
And especially if you're I know I came out of that door.
Yeah.
Or I came in through that door and now it's not here. You're just going to feel, you're going to start doubting everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt my memory half the time. So I would be oh my God, this is it. I am insane. This is where I belong.
I agree with you.
I don't know. But yes, so this was one of our listener recs. Again, if you have some, let us know. But we love to watch them. This is, again,
Really
also
great.
a film I really enjoyed. So whenever we got this recommendation, I was yes, now we have more reason to cover this. So thank you, Kelsey, for recommending this film. I thought it was really great. And
I do too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I mean, it was only 3.5, but I mean, like I said, it was still pretty good.
yeah, which that is, I feel pretty high
Yeah.
for you too. So,
Yeah. And yeah, Grave Encounters. And next week, you guys, we're going to be watching, what are we going to be watching, Caitlin? Halloween. Yes.
Yeah.
2018 with Miss Jamie Lee Curtis.
Per usual.
And a few other famous people up in there.
And then we'll be watching Halloween Kills to lead up to the release of
Halloween Ends, which is going to be coming out the 14th of October.
and will hopefully be the last installment.
Yeah, for a while at least.
How are you going to go past Halloween Ends forever?
Yeah,
Like-
in space. Yeah, in space. Just Michael made his way to space.
I want Michael versus Freddy and Jason in space.
Michael versus Alien.
I want them under the sea
Ooh.
fighting octopus.
Giant kraken.
Octopi.
Cloverfield. There's a lot of
Cloverfield.
ideas there. You can mix them all together. And so, yeah, we're going to be watching those movies, you guys. And as of course, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
They always take great care of us.
They do.
We almost forgot because we're in a different recording area of
yeah,
the
than
studio
we
today.
usually are.
And we don't have the nice big Rogue.
I kind of like it, though. Cool.
It is very comfy.
And then
And my mic's pink.
we are obviously on your listening platforms. You can find us on 2 of the main ones, Spotify and
Apple.
Apple.
And wherever you do listen, don't
please
forget to.
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right. It's the only way we can get ahead in life.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk to us about the films that we just mentioned, or if you have any other films that you want us to cover, I do have a few more I need to add to the list now. Yay.
That's awesome.
Because we reached out to, I think we posted on our story about this one tattoo artist that I like. And she had literally made some Jennifer's Body flash that posted she posted them like the same day as our episode came
Oh,
out.
that's cool.
And so I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's a sign.
Mhm.
Of course, she's in Utah. And I'm like, how are we going to get to Utah to get these lesbian gay tattoos? I want it.
Red
But-
eye flying out.
she's started listening and she reposted
Awesome.
us. And then she's
Super
been
cute.
giving us a lot of great recommendations of films to watch as well. So
Yay.
we've got a lot more to add. So shout out
I'm
to
excited. Brit, right?
No, this
Nope.
I believe I'm trying to I can only think of her actual Instagram handle name and I'm like, oh no, what
Mhm.
is her real name? She does really cool tattoos though, y'all.
Gotcha.
And if you're in Utah, look her up. I believe her name I'm thinking Jennifer for Jennifer's Body. I'm so dumb. Okay, so her Instagram handle is Cowgirl Coloring Book,
Okay,
which
cool.
obviously I love. And she does like
Mhm.
fun rainbow tattoos. Her use of color is super fun, but her name's Emily. So
Shout out Emily. Thank
look
you,
at this
Emily, for
little cow
listening.
with an ice cream head.
If anybody is ever in
Utah.
Utah, get your tattoo by Miss Emily.
Yes.
What is her handle
Salt
again?
Lake City.
Say it
I
again.
think. Cowgirl Coloring Book.
Cowgirl Coloring Book. Everybody
Yeah.
go follow. Is that just Cowgirl Coloring Book, like how it
Oh,
sounds?
yeah, all one word. Look at this slutty pumpkin
Everybody
she did
go
the other day.
Oh, that's super cool.
I love it.
Everybody go follow Cowgirl Coloring Book.
Yeah, her stuff is so cute. And it doesn't really match like my typical style at all, but I could get something like that and it would totally fit.
Make
Yeah.
it a kitty.
Yeah.
Aw.
Aw.
That'd be super cute.
For those of you who don't know, I have very traditional tattoos, but her-
Traditional.
I mean,
They're-
these
they're
Jennifer
like-
Body ones were very traditional. Like that lesbian would totally
Mhm.
fit. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm obsessed. Y'all,
Shout out to Emily. you
let's go
guys.
to Utah.
Yeah, and as always, wait, was there something else?
Just reach out. We
Yeah.
never finished our Instagram handle. If you want to talk to us about the movies though and stuff, you can reach out to us on our exactly one
Social media platform,
and
which
that's
is Instagram.
and that is at
Boobaes, which is BOOBAES, because we're your boobaes, not your boobabes.
and that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time, you guys, happy spooky season
Happy spooky season.
and
Have
bye
fun. Bye.
bays.
Bye, babes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.